Second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about...
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
English, mother...
Body, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Let's put a smile on that face.
What's up, Hollywood homies? Welcome back to the Film Room Podcast. My name is Scott.
I'm Dion.
And today we're doing 2015 Sicario, Denis Villeneuve's thriller that takes place in the American-Mexican border. And this was, I'm guessing, not your first time watching this movie?
Yeah, no, I've seen this movie before.
A couple times? Or like, has it been a while? Or like, was it, how was the rewatch? Was it fresh or what?
Well, I didn't see it when it came out, so the first time I watched it was just at home. The first time I watched it was actually during COVID. So I remember like when the first rewatch for me, or sorry, the first watch I should say, was I remember liking the film and I remember appreciating mostly like the visuals. But on the second watch, like this is my second watch, I feel like I appreciate more of the story and just like the attention to detail of like the building of the tension throughout the movie, because like a big part of the movie is the building of that tension. And Denny's one of my favorite directors, like top 5 easily. And whenever he has something coming out, or like if I have an opportunity to watch a movie that I haven't seen of his, then like I'm jumping right into it. But to go to your point, to give some context of why I didn't like it as much, like, well, I shouldn't say didn't like it, but the first time I said I liked it mostly for the visuals, because after I watched because Eloise put me onto him, okay, because he's from Quebec director, and then I watched Instant Z, like from the 2010 movie, and then I watched Blade Runner, and I didn't even realize he directed both of them. So then once I realized that this was during COVID, I watched like literally every single one of his films. Okay, and then for whatever reason, I guess like when I watched this movie, it didn't. I was comparing it to other films, so I was like, okay, it's good, but I like all the other ones better. But now just locking in on this, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there's a few things there, and one, Denis himself, and I want to talk about him in a little bit, but the point that you made about like building tension, that was a big note that I had too. Like every time before we're leading up to a big event, if they're going into their mission in Mexico or they're going into the tunnel or whatever, like there's always a couple establishing shots, long takes, the music starts pumping up, they get overhead shots of like from like helicopters, because it's all like a coordinated CIA missions, right? So you're getting a lot of different aspects building up to each scene, and that was something I noticed too that I really liked about it, so I'm glad you brought that up. And it's funny, I actually had a similar reaction to you too, because this is my second time watching it as well, and my first time I was like, I like this. You're right. Visually, it's cool. The buildup is really interesting to like the action scenes, but I didn't like it as much as I do now, having seen it again. And I think it was a big part of I was kind of comparing it to Tenet in a way.
Okay.
And in the sense of, I mean, that's also because we just watched it and talked about it.
Yeah.
But in the sense of like, it moves really quick. It's really fast paced, this movie. So like, they'll go into Juárez and they grab Guillermo, and then they get a little bit of information, and then they tell us in one line, and then we're off to Tucson, and then we're interrogating all of the people that are there, and then we're off to El Paso, and like we're moving around so much that it's like in Tenet, where it's, if you miss a couple minutes of this movie, you don't know where the hell we're at, and it just moves so fast. So on a rewatch, it's much better.
Oh, for sure. I think the action in that, that probably was part of the reason too, where I was watching and I was kind of like, okay, we're jumping around, and it's like, it's that same thing too. You don't know what's going on, so just like Kate's in the dark, we're also in the dark. Yeah. So we're just like, what is going on? Like she's saying like, what's going on, and like I'm sitting there like, yeah, what is going on? Like I'm trying to figure out what's going on too. And then like it, even from the first watch, I remember like the ending and everything starts like, that's like, okay, now everything's starting to come together. Now it's making sense and all that kind of stuff. But once you kind of go into the second watch knowing all that stuff, then you can kind of just like, okay, I know what's going on. Let me pay attention to the other parts of the movie. And it's like, okay, this
exactly. And that's why it's better. And then because it's so fast paced, you're like, okay, I know why we're here. I know why we're there. Cause like, you're right. The Kate's in the dark about a lot of stuff, and we are, and that's intentional, right? We want to know, or we don't want to know, like the whole Alejandro and his background, right? That's
Yeah.
kept a mystery on purpose. We know something's a little off about this guy, but we don't know what, and that's what makes it so interesting. And then Matt, Josh Brolin's character, who's super like loose and
Oh
chill
yeah,
about this
laid.
whole thing, and you're like, okay, there's something's weird going on here, but we don't know what, and that's what makes the movie really interesting on the first watch is the twist when we get at the end, which is
Mhm.
actually a pretty good twist. I think it's underrated.
Yeah, no, 100%. I completely agree.
But
Because it's not, it is,
go ahead.
unless you, well, actually, well, no. I was gonna say unless you know the name, but even if you know what the name of the movie means, it doesn't necessarily
Well,
mean
they
you're
tell
gonna
us in
completely.
the first frame, bro.
Yeah, I guess that's
There's
true.
that the writing. It says Sicario means hitman in Mexico,
That's true. No, that's true.
but we don't know
But
that Alejandro's the hitman.
yeah, exactly. I don't know. Maybe you like queuing because like a suspicious guy comes in. Maybe like
True.
that would be the QE. But like, is he the title of this movie? Like, I don't know. That didn't occur to me on the first watch. I wasn't like immediately like this guy's a hitman. I knew something. You figured something was up because he comes in and he's kind of suspect. Like he's like
Hmm.
not really like eye giving eye contact to her at first. He's kind of sitting there and he's very like short answers when she's asking him questions. So you're like, something's up with this guy. I don't know what it is though.
Yeah, but even if you did know that he was a hitman, you don't know that he's working for he just to get revenge against this guy
Yeah,
basically,
no, that's
and
true.
that you also don't know that the CIA is working to try and get a monopoly on the drug trade for Colombia. And it makes
Yeah,
sense, when we get there, they're like, we can't control it when there's turf wars and like rivaling cartels, like it just creates more chaos, more victims, like a bigger problem. And
yeah.
then if you have one person that's just controlling the whole thing, at least it's still a bad thing because they're still pumping drugs and
Yeah.
other worse weapons, all sorts of stuff into the country. But like Matt says at the time, he's like, unless you can convince 20% of the population, I don't know how true that is, but 20% of the
Yeah,
population to
yeah.
stop like snorting this stuff, this is the best we can do.
Yeah. Yeah, which is true. Yeah, I don't know how, but he's probably just throwing that number out there
Yeah,
just
yeah.
cause. But yeah, no, I that's it's true though. I agree. And again, like you said, it's interesting you say that too because not only do I think the twist is underrated, I think the movie's kind of underrated too because this isn't a movie that gets talked about in like a lot of movie spaces. Like when people tell like, oh, you got to watch this movie, this one doesn't really get mentioned that much. And like I remember when someone that's actually what made me want to pick this movie because I was listening to a podcast and these guys were talking about movies and one dude was like, "Yo, have you ever seen Sicario?" And I was like, "Well, I've seen it." And he was hyping it up, and I was like, "You know what? I need to give it another watch." And then
Hmm.
it wasn't like very like in the same week. It was like maybe like a couple weeks ago. But then when you put down the thing, I'm like, "Bang! All right, let me watch. Let me see why he loves it so much." I'm like, "Okay, I get it."
Yeah,
I feel like it's underrated in that sense, of people aren't like constantly like, "Yo, to underrated movies you got to watch."
yeah. But if you think about it, like we both just mentioned our first watch, we were like, it's all right.
Yeah,
So
that's
if you think
probably
about it, if most people, they watch it for the first time and they're like, yeah, it was good, it was all right, but they don't actually love it that much. So that's where you could see, and then they
yeah,
don't rewatch it. So then in their head, they're like, it's okay, so that would be where it would be underrated. But if you've only seen this movie once, watch it again.
yeah,
Like honestly, watch it again. It'll do so much more for you because like the keeping the things in the dark, like the twist that the CIA is doing this, like they're working for the Colombian cartel basically,
yeah.
and the twist with Alejandro. Now, like those are the things that you want to be kept in the dark with, like on a first watch, but you
Mhm.
still would want to know like why we're going from where we start, which I don't even know where that is, but Arizona. We're in Arizona, and then we go
Oh, like the
to
beginning of the movie, you mean?
yeah, exactly,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah,
So why we go from Arizona to El Paso and then we're in Juárez and then back, and like why we're doing these things and like how they get the information to move on to the next piece of the puzzle, like
yeah,
that, like I was saying, happens so fast that on your first watch you might miss. So you
yeah.
might be a little confused about why we're here and there. So like some of the middle of the movie might be a little off because like it starts really quick,
Yeah,
like, and the end has the twist, and it's a really good ending in my opinion. And
yeah,
then
I
but some
agree.
of the middle you might not appreciate that much if this is your first watch and you're just trying to keep up, so you can't appreciate all the little things. But now that you know where we're going, it'll be much better for you on a second watch, I think.
Oh, for sure. And to go to your point too, where we're talking about like how layered it is, this show almost work. I feel like it almost worked better. No, sorry, this movie could almost work better as I'm speaking for it as a TV show, like a mini series. Doesn't have to be like a whole like here's season 1, season 2, season 3. Like how they have like those 10 episode like mini series kind of things.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't even need 10 episodes. You could probably do like 6. This could be like a solid 6 episodes, and then suddenly this could be like and then I think people will be like, oh, like appreciate it more, because there's so much information can be kind of like to put in different things in different episodes, and then I think maybe we'd probably get more love if it was in that way. I still think it's great as the movie that it is, but just when you have so much information, I feel like it can be stretched out into a TV show where it's like, okay, this is a little more digestible, and we're slowly building into it, and then that final episode would be like the final parts of the movie. That'd be a crazy season finale.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. It totally would work as a TV show, and you would just break up kind of the set pieces, I guess. You kind of have one per episode. We'd have one, or maybe the first one is more of just an introductory thing. We'd have that first thing in the house, I guess. That would kind of be the first episode, and then
which would be a good first episode.
Yeah, they would start fast, and then you'd have Kate like joining the team, and then she maybe meets Alejandro. Maybe that's the end of it, and then because it's a TV show, you'd have to stretch it out, so you'd have a little more time for character development and stuff like that, which would be interesting. And then the second episode, is they're going to Juárez and they get Guillermo, and then they get this could definitely work as a TV show.
Yeah, the border is that whole episode, and then like we're writing the TV show right now.
Yeah. Well, this it does have a sequel. Have you seen the sequel?
Nah, I haven't seen the sequel. I heard they're working on a third one too. I don't. That's just rumors, but I haven't seen the sequel.
No, me neither. Because it's not Denis, right?
Yeah, so I saw Denis not in it, and freaking like Emily
Blunt's not in it.
And I don't think Daniel Kaluuya is in it either.
Yeah,
but Josh Brolin's in it.
Josh Brolin and Benicio Del Toro are in it.
Yeah, they're both in it. So, which is, I might watch it. Like I didn't hear anything. Well, I didn't hear anybody say anything about it. To be honest, like I said, I didn't hear anything bad about it. I didn't hear anyone say anything about it. Kind of like the first movie, I didn't hear anyone say anything about it. The only reason I watched this movie again because I was looking through Denny's catalog, and I was like, okay, I haven't seen this movie of his, so let me watch it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the sequel either. Sicario, Day of the Soldado, it's called. Yeah, it's mostly Matt and Alejandro. But I feel like, again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's good or not. But I feel like it's weird. It's weird maybe for me to make this point because of that. But I feel like maybe a prequel would have been even cooler. Like, because Alejandro, like his whole backstory is kept murky, and then when we find out, I mean, we knew he was a lawyer. He says that early on to Emily, but also I was like, do I believe this guy? He could just be lying. Like he's a really mysterious character. So, but now that we know, okay, he was a lawyer in Colombia, so he obviously, was he's a prosecutor. That's what he said. So he was prosecuting members of the cartel, and then this guy had his family killed, and now he did this whole thing seeking revenge. And anytime he's in Mexico, anytime they see him, they're like, oh, Medellin. Like, so like he's obviously has this whole past, and he's built up this cachet as like a killer. Like a prequel on him could have been fucking cool.
Maybe that's the third one is. Who knows?
Maybe, dude.
We don't know. I guess we got we're speaking on it on the second. We haven't even seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be awesome. It could be awesome too. I don't know.
It could be.
So maybe I gotta check. Maybe we gotta check it out.
Yeah. So Denis. Yeah. So this is our first Denis movie. We haven't done any of his other movies yet.
Yeah, it is.
So this is after Prisoners and
Enemy.
And so you've seen them all. So where does this stack, would you say, on his, like, I've seen I've seen Arrival, Dune 1 and 2, Prisoners, and Sicario. So
okay. Oh, but you haven't seen Incendie.
I haven't seen Incendie. I haven't seen
Polytechnique. There's Polytechnique too.
Blade Runner I haven't seen either. So
snap.
let me know. Give me your thoughts.
Well, Polytechnique is the only one I haven't seen, and that one's actually like, I mean, so is Incendie actually is in Montreal for a little bit, so it's a little more like actually Canadian. The other one, like his first movie's in black and white, and it's about a school shooting that happens in like a real life school shooting.
Polytech, yeah, I remember the shooting.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's him just like telling that story, but that one I actually haven't seen. I'm weird like that. I always, with most directors, I always just like leave one movie sitting there for whatever reason.
What? Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, I'm like that. It's like that last cookie thing, you know, like when you open the
Okay.
thing, there's one cookie in there. It's like I don't know if I can. I just let someone else eat it. For some reason, I can't finish it. I can't finish the last cookie.
I see what you're saying with the last cookie because you don't want to be that guy, but this
Yeah.
is like there. That doesn't mean anything to this. That's a horrible comparison. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. I did the same thing with Fincher. I did the same
Okay.
thing with Nolan. There's the one I haven't seen The Following. I haven't seen that movie. I always
Okay.
just leave the one. And Tarantino, I did that for a little bit too. Then I finally watched Dead Proof and or
Okay.
Death Proof or whatever. And I
Yeah.
didn't like that movie that much. I probably should have just left it.
But
But
oh really?
yeah. But anyway, as far as where this movie ranks, it's tough to rank them. But I like.
Well, you don't have to necessarily rank
well,
it,
yeah,
but is it
not
up
necessarily
there? Or is
rank
it? Yeah.
Well, it's tough because he has so many great films. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
for me, the top threes. It doesn't go in the top three because the top three for me probably like maybe like Prisoners, Instant Z, and Arrival,
Okay.
and then like Doom Part 2, which is again I can't put them in. I'm just saying them, but like
Yeah.
I don't think this movie's better than those four, which
Okay.
doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. You know what I mean? It's just like it's like ranking Tarantino movies. Then you rank them. You're like, oh, so
Yeah.
you think this movie's shit? It's like no, it's just there's so many good ones that it's hard to say which one's
sure.
better than. I think this one's up there though. I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it when we did Tenet, like with Nolan movies, because I was saying, I think it's one of his weaker movies.
Yeah.
Not we, even weaker is not a good word because I
Yeah,
think
I
it's a
know.
good movie. I just think it's like lower on the list because he's made so many great movies, like you just said. So with Denis, honestly, the second watch did a lot for me. I really like this
Mhm.
movie. So but at the same time, there's a few that I haven't seen. Like I said, Arrival, I only saw once.
Okay.
Dune 1 and 2, I've only seen once. Actually, all of his movies I've only seen once, except for this is now the only one
Okay.
that I've rewatched. So like,
Okay.
maybe it's not fair, but yeah, this is
Yeah.
I really like this movie for sure. But Denis great. I
Oh, yeah.
agree. Everything that I've watched of his, I've enjoyed so far.
Yeah, no, he's just really interesting director. He's definitely got his like a specific style to
Yeah, talk
to his
about it.
movies. What?
Talk about it. What do
just
you like
yeah,
about his style?
well, well, I'll say this, Eloise. I'm like, one, he's very grounded in his movies, in the sense of like, if his movie's about something dark, he'll take it there.
Oh
Like
yeah.
Prisoners is pretty dark. Arrival, that's like the darkest version of like an alien invasion that I've seen. Like usually it's like it really shows like the fear of like what it would actually be like versus like sometimes it gets a little campy and stuff like that where people like now people will be probably people think the world is ending. People probably be committing suicide. All these things. Like if they saw a freaking spaceship come to Earth, it's like it did. And then this movie's really dark in that sense where it's just like I've seen a lot of you've seen a lot of depictions of like how like cartel things and stuff, and like they get pretty like grim and stuff. Like even TV shows, for example, like Breaking Bad and stuff like this. But like they don't like show the bodies and stuff like that, and the kind of things we get in here, and some of the descriptions. Like it's very much like I watched something like the show Sons of Anarchy. Like they got that's a different kind of thing. It's not cartel. It's like the Hell's Angels, but it's the same like crime and drugs and all that stuff. And like they get pretty like visceral with it, but that's one of the things I noticed. Even like Blade Runner 2049, it's Blade Runner, like the first one is kind of like dark, but like it takes a more of like I don't want to say grim as in like it's like depressing, but just very like grounded in the sense of like we're gonna try to make this as realistic as possible. I know that's always been kind of his themes. There's only so much you can do with sci-fi, like when he starts doing stuff like Dune and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like his style is always tries to make things as grounded as possible, and then it's just always like insanely visually like stimulating.
Yeah. No, I
When
totally agree. I think keeping it and dark is like it's a good word in that the sense of like tone. Like you said, Prisoners super dark. This movie's super dark in like that everything there's almost no positivity in this
Yeah.
movie. Like literally everything is just negative, like right to the very end. But also dark in the sense like the grounded, like you say. So like when we're introduced to this first house, we're seeing bodies in the wall
yeah,
and then we're like, okay, so we're right away. They're showing us how merciless this cartel is, right? And then when we get
yeah,
to Juarez for the first time, we see like dismembered bodies hanging up, and like it's so real, and it makes you feel like, damn, this is hell. Like
Yeah.
he really puts you in hell in a lot of these movies. And Prisoners, same thing. Like it's just, I mean, this it's not that's less so the setting. It's more like the
Yeah.
story of what's going on. And obviously, I
Yeah.
don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't seen that movie, but it's it's so real, you know, like the two guys, their daughters go missing, so you really get to feel how they feel in that moment. They spend a lot of time showing, you know, how they're going through that time, and it's super dark and real, and the people are descending into problems, and it's just it really throws you right into hell. He's not sugarcoating anything, and I think sometimes the cartel movies they're gruesome, but they're less real. So
Yeah.
it doesn't a kill maybe like looks really bad. It's like, damn, that's gruesome. You just cut that guy's arm off or whatever. But it doesn't punch that same way
Yeah.
because you don't feel for the character necessarily as much because maybe they're killing so many people. It's just
Yeah.
another number, another body to the total. But in this one, it feels so much more. Everything hits so much harder, and that's just Denis, man. He does it so well.
Yeah, it's 100%. It's like it's just so impactful. And like
Yeah.
to tie on to your or to add on to your Prisoners example, it's like I use the example of like you compare Prisoners to like Taken, you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
they're both movies about someone being kidnapped, and but like Taken is more of like a he's gonna be a badass, he's gonna get them
Yeah.
back kind of thing, where it feels like more like we're watching the hero, and then Prisoners is not that. You're cheering for the guys to try to get their kids back, but it's not like he's just this unstoppable force that's just gonna try to do whatever he can. It's just like a different feel. Obviously, that dude's like also like I think he's an agent, like his character. I can't even remember. I haven't seen
I
Taken
don't think
since like
he
it came.
is. Oh,
He's just a
and
regular
Taken
guy.
you're talking about.
Taken, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, he has a particular set of skills that
Yeah,
he
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. But I feel like if Denny directed that, he'd still change it where it's just like, okay, but your
Yeah.
kid has been taken. So like that facade kind of breaks down a little bit. Now you're like, you see more of that emotional side. But that's
Yeah.
just the example I use with that. Just comparison, like how he would do it in his style.
Yeah, because like in Taken, Liam Neeson's almost like a superhero, right?
Yeah.
Where like you could take on 10 dudes in a fight. Whereas
Yeah.
like Denis, like in Prisoners or in this movie, like it's well, not in this movie, but in Prisoners, it's like if a dad lost his daughter, like he's going crazy and he's
Yeah.
obviously he's doing anything he can to get his daughter back, but he's not doing anything like supernatural. Like he's not
Yeah. No.
a
Exactly.
superhero in any way. Like it's so grounded and real. And I think it's such an interesting thing to do with movies because they are so grand and
Yeah.
unrealistic, like just in what they are, right? Like we go to the
Mhm.
movies to watch things that couldn't possibly happen, and that's what's so interesting. To take these stories that are interesting on their own and make them real is an interesting way to go about like a directorial style. Because even Dune, like you said, that's sci-fi. You can't make it super realistic, but it feels like everything that's happening in that movie could happen like in the
Yeah.
future.
No, for sure.
It
And
feels
even
like it at least.
and again to go and I mean we're talking about Denis, so it's not really jumping around, but even to use Blade Runner example, and again I'm saying as much as I can without giving spoilers because we
Yeah.
don't want to spoil people.
Yeah.
They came in to hear us talk about Sicario, so they want to like spoil every Denny movie while they're
Exactly,
listening to the
yeah.
podcast. But I feel like Blade Runner is a good example of that. Even though it's sci-fi, he tries to make it okay. If this was actually happening, let's try to make this as realistic as possible, as
Mhm.
much as we can, really. And I feel like they do a good job in that too.
Yeah, I think it's more like just like if we were in a world where this is possible, if we were in a world where this technology exists, you know, like that's the whole
Yeah.
sci-fi thing. Like, so that's where he's taking the liberty is, you know, the technology or the setting or the rules of the society or
Mhm.
whatever. But then, okay, if we were in this and we were just regular humans, what would we do? How would we move forward? And that's where he makes it so real. And then you add his great camera work. Like in this movie, there's so many great shots and interesting angles and things that he did, and the build up, like you said, to building suspense and stuff like that. It's you add that into it, and it just gets better and better, and it's so good.
Oh yeah, 100%.
All right, should we jump into the movie then, or did you have anything else?
I guess the last thing I would say is just like the way he displays violence too. I think is a very specific choice because I
Okay.
think
Oh,
I
sorry,
mean,
everyone. My dog's going crazy.
oh yeah, no, he's just saying what's up. He's got something
Yeah,
to
he's
say
saying
about
what's
Zenny
up.
too.
He likes,
got something
he
to
likes
say about
Sicario.
that. But was there any dogs in the movie? I don't remember.
There must have been that.
Maybe he doesn't like it.
drug
There's no dogs
dogs
in there.
smelling. No, there must have been. I
I
can't
don't
think
think
of
there
any, but
was. I don't think there
no, at the
was. I mean,
border.
clearly they didn't have any
No, at the
bomb
border
dogs
there
in the
definitely
opening
was.
scene.
No, there was at the border.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
There
right.
was.
You're
There
right.
was. There was.
All right, but yeah, I just think the way he displays violence, I feel like because just yeah, like the last thing I'll say on that is just like again, different kind of movies, but people always make the comparison. It's like, oh, people will like Joker versus like a superhero movies where it's just like, oh, that a bunch of people die just in the background, nothing really happens, or whatever. In the Joker, the kills that happen in that movie, they're just so memorable because it's just like few people die, and it's just like, and you somewhat know these characters, and when they die, like they show it and like that, and I feel like this movie is a good example of that, and he's done that through other movies too. Like when violence is shown, it's shown like in like unpretty ways. It's just
Hmm.
like it's just very visceral and just like even like when Kate's getting like her neck choked and stuff like that. It's just like they could have done a shot where like maybe it was like a little from distance, but like no, we're gonna get right in there. You're gonna see it, arms around the neck and everything like that. It's just like the way they show it's like, oh, this isn't supposed to be pretty and this is messed up, and we're gonna make you see it. We're gonna zoom in on it.
Yeah, but you're right. It's a good point that it's not every 10 minutes of this movie someone's getting killed. So like
Yeah,
by the as it continues to happen, it just it just means less and less because you're like, oh, it's
yeah,
just another victim.
exactly.
But like these are characters that we actually know. Like we get when we the assassin that's sent on Kate.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of him at the bar, so they're talking to each other. So we get to know this guy a little bit more. So it actually means something. So
Hmm.
and when at the end with Silvio, we keep cutting in and out back and forth to see Silvio, his son and his wife, and he keeps like getting breakfast, and we keep learning a little bit about him throughout the movie, so that
Hmm.
when we get to the end, it's supposed
It
to.
means more.
I'm guessing it's supposed to be more. That was actually one of my questions. I was going to ask when we get there, but we're here now, so I might as well. Did that work for you? Like all the cutbacks to Silvio, I was like,
Hmm.
and then he dies at the end. To me, I didn't feel that much more about it. And then
Hmm.
it ends with his son like playing soccer. Like, is it supposed to be? Was it? Do you think more just like to show kind of the point of view of the victims of the drug trade? Like who
Yeah.
like. You know what I mean? Like not to only have the American side of things, but also to have the Mexican side of things to be like, this is what it's like if you're in that situation, just to make it feel a little more.
Yeah. I think the first time I think I was kind of like not like completely like heartless to where I was just like okay like I didn't care, but it didn't hit me as hard. But I think on the second watch for whatever reason I was like it definitely hit me more in the
Okay.
sense of like damn, yeah, that's tough because then because again before I was trying to just catch up with the story, trying to make sure what's going on, and every time the cop came up I was kind of like okay, now this is kind of like a chance for me to kind of like think about like what is going on in this movie, but now I already know what's going on, so I was kind of like focusing on like little things like the side story of them showing him, and I was like okay, like yeah, it did more for me because I was like, oh, it's messed up. Like, yeah, again, like you said, they're just showing like the on the Mexican side of it, and you're seeing that this guy, he's just a dad, he's just a dad. He has a
Hmm.
job, but like he can't like it's corrupt there. Like I bet he'd need. It's not like he had a choice. The
Yeah.
cartel came up to him and like, you're working for us. It's not like no, I'm just a regular cop and I have a dad. Like he had no choice. As soon as
Yeah.
they came to him, he had to do it, and now this is just his life. And and then we end up seeing him die, and it's just like if that was just some regular cop, we didn't see that background of it. It'd just be like, okay, cop got killed. But then we knew this whole time. It's like, ah, damn, is he gonna get back to his kid? And then
Right.
it
Yeah, I
happened.
think that's the biggest thing. It just shows like these, but maybe that's a specific way that he put in the movie. Like we were just saying that it feels like each death hits
Yeah.
because he obviously can't do that with every single character that's gonna die. Like there's only so much time in a movie. But to give us one character where we're like, okay, this guy has a wife and a kid, and he's just
Hmm.
he's just trying to get by. And you're totally right. He would have had no choice, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, so we can you show it to us for one victim, but then we can attach that to all the other ones and be like, these aren't just like people or
Yeah.
like numbers on the headboard or whatever. All these
Yeah.
people have mothers, fathers, sisters, kids, wives, husbands. Like this,
Yeah.
like these are all real people with lives connected to them. So it shows how deep it actually goes and how impactful it is on the city of Juarez. That like, yeah, all these people are dying, but it also affects all their families and friends and everybody around them. So it just,
Exactly.
yeah, I think that is why it's in the movie. But like when Silvio died, I was like, because I wasn't surprised. I feel like maybe it was that I was like, I think he's fucked.
Yeah. No, for sure. Which is fine. You're allowed to have that feeling. It's not
Yeah.
like you're heartless because it didn't hit you as
Yeah.
hard as, because we don't get that much of him. Because at the end
Mhm.
of the day, the parts that they show of him, he just kind of seems like when they first show him, was like, this dude's just a lazy guy.
Yeah.
He's just like slowly getting out of bed. I like get me my food, give me my coffee. It was like there's not much like personality of him. We're like, oh, this is a funny guy. Like, hopefully this
Mhm.
guy's okay. We just see him get up and eat his breakfast and put alcohol in his coffee, and
Yeah.
we don't really get too much of him in that sense. So I get you on that. It's like we don't have a bond to him.
Right.
Besides that, his kid likes playing soccer,
Yeah.
and he's got to bring him and play with him.
Yeah. I guess it's more just the connection to family. Show that there's more
Yeah,
to it.
no, for sure.
All right, well, let's jump in then. So we start
Yeah.
with our first scene is this home invasion. We see all the bodies in the walls. My first point is again build up, fucking insane, dude. So they start with these. They're in the truck, and Emily, Kate, you can see she's kind of nervous, and we get Daniel Kaluuya's character Reggie, and they're we see that there's a little something there. They're partners.
Yeah.
They're slowly walking up behind the house. You know, because they're snaking it out. The music is building. Everything's so good in the scene. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's just like you said, like that tension building, and I remember like when the bomb scene is so memorable. Like there's specific parts of the movie that like really stick with me. The bomb explosion like really stuck with me too because it was just out of nowhere. It's not like something you expected. It's not like we like as an audience saw like a timer and then we knew it was coming and they didn't know. So like when it happened, it was just like, oh snap, and it was just it was just so out of nowhere. And like you said, the bodies in the wall, it very much sets the tone of like what we're getting into, because we see the first body, and then when they say like, oh, we found like 20 and there's 19 in the back and there could be more, it's like, damn, like what are we dealing with here?
Yeah, there's a shot like after like they cut open all the walls and it's in every single hole in the wall. Like the house is just completely full of bodies, and like Reggie can't handle it. He's throwing up, and it's just it's nasty, but it's so real. And you're right, they throw us right into it, and Denis like, no, he puts it right in your face, like
Yeah.
the right close-ups of these dead bodies, bags on their heads. It's the feel and the tone is set right away. And that bomb, even this time, I was like, when they started unpicking that lock, I was like, this blows up, right? Because like it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I remember the first time, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it was also funny seeing like Daniel in this too, because like, and which is funny because this movie is before all of it. But when I think of him, I just think of him like Get Out, Black Panther, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nope. I was like, this is the first time I've seen him in a non-black movie, and this was actually before he was in all those black movies.
Yeah.
So I guess he was kind of, I wouldn't say an unknown, but at least maybe to like majority of like American/Canadian audiences, like I wasn't really familiar with him. And then it was weird seeing him in this. I was like, oh, did he get this role after? Then I realized when it came out, I was like, oh no, this is before before Get Out, and he fucking just blew up and everybody knew who he was.
Yeah. Maybe Jordan Peele saw him in this and liked him.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
No, 100%. That could be it. He was pretty good. His role wasn't the like massive in this,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he was still good in it. Like he's not my sixth man, but part of me was wondering. I was like, is he a sixth man? He's like, he's not there that much.
He could be.
I guess
sure.
I guess he could have been. Yeah. Well, spoiler, he's not my sixth man because I wasn't even sure if he. I'm like, he's in there a decent amount, but he's kind of not.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. He doesn't have a big role, but he's got his moments, you know. And
Yeah. No, he definitely does.
most of it, I feel like, is kind of being Kate's six man, like being Kate's right hand man. Like most of his moments is just their characters, like their relationship. He doesn't really get to do a whole lot in the movie.
It was
but he's good in those moments.
No, he is. Their relationship is interesting to me because when I first watched the movie, I was thinking, I was like, is there like a thing here? But it feels very much like brother sister kind of energy, and it's like she's like a tomboy or kind of thing, sort of. But at the end of the day, it's freaking Emily Blunt. I'm like, she's not.
Yeah,
she doesn't really look like a tomboy. I know we're going for this, but like,
I don't think she's a tomboy. I think it's just that she's like for the job she's in, she's got to be tough, and she's tough.
Yeah,
and throughout the events that we see in this movie, like she's barely sleeping. I imagine, like she looks like crap and she's asking all these questions. She's always like, is what we're doing right? Like she's pissed off as well, so she doesn't know what's going on. So, but you're totally right. It's a brother sister kind of thing. Because even when she's getting dressed in front of him, and
Yeah, that's what I'm
and
saying.
he's like, man, you got to get a new bra, woman. It's like, what the hell? It was a little
Yeah.
weird, but
That's why I was very confused. Like, cause I forgot about that line, and I was just like, "What is this relationship?" Like,
yeah,
if you were just like friends, you wouldn't change in front of him. Like, you have to be pretty close, like, if
yeah,
to change. Just like to, it's not. I mean, it's not that crazy. She's wearing like just sports bra. It's not like she's wearing
yeah.
like got completely naked in front of him and just walking around. But it was, yeah, I don't know. I still really don't feel like I don't have clarity on what this relationship was. Like, did they date in the past? Like, did they ever have a thing? Like, I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it's just purely platonic relationship.
I guess, but yeah, I guess neither of them are married, so it makes it less weird too. Because there's no way
Well,
that
they're
someone could
both
just,
divorced, aren't they?
yeah. I know she is. I
Kate
can't remember if
is for
he's
sure. I'm
divorced.
pretty
Yeah,
sure he
for
is
sure.
too.
Okay.
I think he
I
was. So then we learn about the cartel. So
Yeah.
we meet Matt for the first time. He's like in flip flops in the CIA room. So she volunteers, joins the team. And we get a cool shot from in the office. The camera's behind her, so we see the back of her head, and then on each side of her is Matt and then Dave, her boss, and like another CIA guy, all looking at her. And I thought it was a cool like visual way of like just putting all the pressure on her, like feeling in that room where they're like, because they're volunteering and they're not telling her much, right? They're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna do something, and he's asking like, are you married? Do you have kids? Like, so it's a weird situation, but like I thought
Yeah.
the shot was really cool to represent like that pressure on her.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, again, this movie has so many moments of tension. It's just like you're sitting there with her, and you're like, well, what exactly is she agreeing to? And it's
Mhm.
also kind of like weird. It's like, why is he? Well, why is he asking those questions? Like, why does it matter if she's married or whatever? Because at first, just the way he's just chilling, man's got his dogs out, he's wearing flip flops,
Yeah.
and he's asking, it's like, is he hitting on her? Like, is this like what's the real deal with this? But I agree. I really like the way the scene was shot. One thing too is just like a thing I noticed from like just a rewatch. It's weird seeing like so many people in this movie that I know from something else in like significant roles.
Yeah.
Like Dave Jennings, for example. Like, do you recognize him?
Yeah, that's well, he's in a bunch of stuff, but
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. A
what's
Firestorm from
oh,
freaking
okay. That's the
yeah.
thing that you think of with him?
That's what I think of. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we got Thanos in there. We got like I just mentioned, Get like there's just so many people. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
and even later, Ted, he's freaking from The Walking Dead. Like, the guy that plays
Oh,
Ted.
that's right. See,
He's in
see, I wrote him down as Punisher.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
See,
yeah, that's
I
true.
think
That's
of him as
pretty big.
Punisher. That's what I mostly think of him because I never really watched Walking Dead like that.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's
Yeah.
fair. But I know I agree with you with I really like that scene because it just it starts that mystery of just like, okay, now we have questions. Who is this guy, and like
Yeah.
what are the plans? What's going on?
Yeah, the thing I was questioning mostly with Matt on my first watch on this point, because he's super chill, got the dogs out, and he's asking her like about her if she has a husband, if she has kids. So immediately I was like, okay, he's asking if she's expendable. That's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. Was my immediate thought, and that's basically what ends up. I think that's why he's asking the question.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, but I didn't know like any more than that. But also, I was thinking like it's weird. I mean, his character, he's so like chill but in charge kind of thing because in this scene, right, she comes in and he's like, are you married? And she's like a little offended. She's like,
Yeah.
what? Like, this is
Mhm.
a work thing. Like, what does that
Yeah.
have to do with anything? And then he's like, do you have a husband? Like, he just asked, like, he
Yeah.
didn't care about her. Like, oh, sorry, like, I didn't mean to offend you. He was like, no, like, he doubled down on the question.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
damn, this guy's kind of an asshole too.
Yeah, no, it's true. And like I didn't know how I felt like oh, like why. I was trying to figure out like is this character that way because it's like one of those things where it's like you deal with so much like effed up shit that you kind of just have to be like jokey about
Mhm.
everything. Like,
Yeah.
because like, but I still don't understand why he's wearing flip flops though. Like, I don't. I guess it's they're still in a warm place. So you can do whatever you want. But yeah, no, I had the same kind of feeling with Matt too, where it was just like this guy is coming off as kind of like a dick, but then doubling down on it, I'm like, okay, this guy's got power because he's not like it's not like this is like a one-on-one conversation where he's doing this and then he's like, oh, they won't believe you when you say he's like he's doing this in front of
Mm.
everyone. So he
Yeah.
knows he can say this in front of everyone. No one even budged. No one even like looked to him and been like, oh, you should. I don't think you should talk to her like that. No one even.
Right.
So you're realizing like, okay, this guy's above everyone in the room. That's why
Yeah.
he can stroll in like this.
That's a good point. And this is a quick scene too. So like there's a lot that we get of his character in a quick scene. I think that's a credit to Josh Brolin, but also well written.
Oh,
And
for sure.
so yeah, it's just a quick scene and a lot of stuff in it. Well done, Denis.
Yeah.
If you're listening.
He is. He is.
Is he? Okay, so then we get to El Paso. We meet Alejandro on the plane.
Mhm.
There's the briefing for their mission, and because this is what another thing like I was talking about with Tenet, like in the room before they're talking about, okay, yeah, this guy who's the the step below the leader of the cartel that lives in America. He's like the American correspondent. We're gonna go get his brother in Juarez, and it's just a quick line in that
Yeah.
scene back at the CIA. Because I remember my first watch, we're going like, and they're explaining the mission. Okay, this guy's gonna go and get contact. Then we're gonna go over here. I'm like, what is the mission? Why are we here? What are we
Yeah.
what are we doing? But on second watch, it's so much better.
Yeah, because then you know exactly what's going on with everything. But yeah, no, it's really good.
Um, and so yeah, but for the briefing, everything's super murky. She's asking all the questions to Matt, to
Yeah.
Alejandro as well. That's when we learned that he was a prosecutor, and this is right when I was starting to get that feel. Okay, there's some shady shit, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Did you have any ideas at this point on your first watch? Do you remember?
No, I remember still being kind of confused. Like again, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, like I felt like though, yeah, there's something up with this guy. Like I felt like he was on their side, but you definitely felt like okay, there's something else at play. Like I don't know what their alternative motive is. Again, I wasn't predicting the twist at the end, but part of me was thinking, I was like, okay, there's something else here. Like they're not just doing a job. Like I don't know if they're trying to, if they're like trying to get money also. Like they're trying to get some off the top. Like I don't know if they're just like they're dirty cops. Because she kind of accuses them of being, well, she accuses them of being spies, but like I was assuming like are these guys dirty, and then it's just like everybody knows, you know what I mean? Like everybody is in on this. Like when we do these jobs, we scratch a little off for ourselves, and then that kind of thing. But I was still in the dark. I remember on the first watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like we've seen a lot of those movies where it's like the dirty cop, and then you have the new cop that comes in and is like, no, we got to do it by the book and not do that. So like,
Yeah.
we've seen it a bunch, so that's where our mind goes immediately.
Oh,
But
exactly.
that's why the twist works out, because it's not that.
Yeah. 100%.
So then we get the mission in Juarez and the border scene and
Yeah.
everything that happens there. Give me your thoughts.
I just like the build up to it. Like it was just they really did a good job of just building up the fear of like what they're getting into, because we talked about earlier, just like them driving through as they're getting near the border, like you're seeing the bodies and stuff like that, hearing the gunshots. And that, I remember what's his name, Steve Forcing, like with one of the guys, the guy with the glasses, like the mustache, that's like in the car with Kate and them. And
Okay, yeah.
she's just and he's talking about I think it's the I can't remember if it's the president or the governor. I think it's the governor. He's talking about how he was trying to come in and he almost wanted to cancel because how dangerous it was, even though he had 4,000 troops. He's like 4,000 troops, and he still almost backed up because of one guy. Like, you think he felt safe? And I'm like, just slowly build, like, they're really giving you, like, damn, he's got that many troops and he still didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Is lets you know we're in a bad place. Like, this isn't freaking Wonderland. You know what I mean?
Wonderland. Yeah. I was like, where's he going with this? What is he
I
gonna pick?
didn't know
What's
where
it
I was gonna. I was just in my head. I'm thinking all these little things. I had to say, end up going with Wonderland. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, Wonderland, sure.
This ain't Dorothy. This ain't Dorothy. There you. I mean, Dorothy.
Is it
This isn't,
Kansas?
Kansas. Yeah, this
There
isn't
you
Kansas
go.
anymore.
There you
There
go.
we go. I found it.
Yeah, you're totally right though. That it's a really good job of setting the setting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like putting us in Juarez and be like, this place is hell. Like
Yeah.
the bodies hanging. He's telling the stories. We see the people in the street, and there's garbage everywhere. Like it looks like shit. And you're like, man, living here would be terrible. And we could see that the cartel has total control of this whole place. But then when we get to, so they grab Guillermo, they get to the border, and then there's this whole standoff, and everything's slow. They notice the guys in the cars with the guns, and then there's a guy that from behind tries to shoot Kate in the car,
Mhm.
and the guy's like all geared up and everything. I was like, who was that guy? I was like, was this guy a part of the CIA and she was supposed to die on this mission, and like they read it
Oh,
off as she
yeah.
got like caught in the crossfire, because he didn't seem like he was a cartel guy.
Yeah, no, it's true. No, that's a good point. I don't know. That would be, but whoa snap! But it didn't come back though. So like I don't know if it
Yeah,
was necessarily supposed to be because based off what we know about the movie going forward, they wouldn't want her to die on that mission because they still have
but
more to do.
I feel like, but if she does die on the mission, then could they not still go ahead with the operation? Because he says at the end, like, we basically only have you here because we can only operate within U.S. borders with connection to a different department.
Yeah,
So, but if the mission started with her, even if she died, at least the mission as a whole was connected to the other agency, so they could continue without her.
I
Maybe.
don't know. I was assuming that they would have had to found a replacement, and then suddenly that
Oh,
would kind of fuck with their plans because then they'd have
actually, I
someone
think
who'd
you're
try to.
right.
Yeah,
I think you're right because later on, like Reggie even says, he's like, "Tell us like what's going on," or she walks, and then they tell
yeah,
her. So yeah, I think you're
yeah.
right actually. So that guy was just part of the cartel. Why was he geared up like nobody else and only
Don't
trying to
know.
shoot her?
I don't know. That's a good question. Now you got me thinking back because I remember the scene you're talking about, but I don't know. For some reason, it didn't stick with me. I kind of just like saw it happen and kind of was like, okay, and then moved on with it. But that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember the first one. Like we got Matt that's asking about her husband and kids. So I was like, okay, she's
Yeah,
expendable. And then this guy, I was like, was she supposed to die? Anyways,
no, it's a good question. I got one last thing too before we get to the
yep,
point. It reminded me,
I do too. So keep
just
going.
like Steve, like building it up.
Mm.
I gave the example of like the way he was building it because he calls it the Beast, and to me that was like a little bit like a Family Guy moment for me because the biggest thing I took from this movie also was the soundtrack. It was by I think Johan Johannesson, which is
Yeah,
it's funny because his name is doubled up,
yeah.
and the name of the song playing during that is called The Beast, and then he calls the place The
Oh,
Beast, and I was like, okay, okay,
okay.
and that song because like this movie a lot of this movie I listen to the soundtrack for it when I fly my drone just because when you just listen to it, like if you put that shit on some speakers just like the slow builds with a lot of movies that Denny does like the Dune playlist sounds crazy too and even Blade Runner there's some like just crazy audio in the movie and
I
that song specifically.
So I feel like yeah, if you're flying your drone, that kind of puts you in like a movie atmosphere, like a movie mindset, where you're attaching the visuals of your drone shot to the music you're listening to. Interesting.
Well, it's just because also that this movie has such great aerial shots.
Yeah,
There's so many shots of so
yeah.
that's why when I'm seeing these shots, I'm like, oh, I want to fly my drone. And then like I would just like played the playlist and like for whatever reason when the beast and then there's the tunnel one comes on, which I think they're
Mm.
pretty similar. I'm like, oh, I remember this from the movie. I'm like, let's go. And I'm just flying my drone. I'm just flying it really slowly. Like I mean, it's just over some suburb cities. So
Yeah,
it's
you
not the
don't have
same
Emily
thing as
Blunt
yeah.
and Josh Brolin and
Yeah, exactly. I'm not flying over mountains and stuff. I'm
yeah,
not flying
yeah.
over Mexico, just
But I feel like
the
when you got
suburbs.
these CIA missions, you gotta have some aerial shots, dude.
Oh,
Like the with
100%.
like the helicopters, choppers in the air, you gotta have some
Yeah.
aerial shots.
No, it looks so good.
Okay.
The
I
border.
have another thing too. So right after this, so she gets pissed off, right? And Matt, she's like, "That was illegal. What the fuck we just did? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? What's going on?" She's all pissed off. But I'm like, they literally saw the dudes in the cars with guns. They
Yeah.
were clearly going to do something.
No,
How is
100%.
that illegal? What they were doing? Like
I
they
don't know.
showed up with their guns. They're like, they told them, they're like, drop the guns, like just don't do anything. And then I would assume they would arrest them or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's when they got out of the car and raised their guns. That's when they shot him. Is that not the right
No,
thing to do?
100%. No, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking like, what is the procedure? Like someone has
Yeah.
to take a bullet for hey, no, put your guns down. Put your guns down. And as they pull up and just supposed to get
Stop
freaking
shooting
laced.
us. No,
Yeah,
that's illegal. Stop
exactly.
shooting us.
Supposed to get laced. I don't know. Maybe because actually no, because they can be in Mexico. That's their whole unit. They're allowed to be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know why she was so. She made it seem like they were guns first. She made it
Yeah.
seem like
That's what I'm
they
saying.
started popping. I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. You know another thing that I thought was funny about that too is like obviously the first guys like they they were giving them a chance to go to your point. It's not like they were guns a blazing. The first guys they get laced up. My thing is what Eloise was watching with me, and it made me laugh too, because she never seen the movie. She's like, okay, well, surely those guys saw what happened to the first group, so they're not gonna do anything, right? And immediately and she's like, okay, I guess not. Why? Why did they do that? Do they
Well,
not see what just happened?
I think it's probably like the cop in Juarez, man. They don't have a choice. They got the cartel on them, and they're like, if you fail, we'll kill you, maybe. So they're like, fuck it, we gotta try. I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
I guess so.
Or it's just,
Oh
or
yeah.
maybe it's just confidence, just blind confidence. Is like, those guys were trash. We got this. Don't worry.
Yeah, I guess so. Even though our guns are down here, their guns are already pointed at us.
Put it at my face.
Yeah.
And they all have ARs. I got a pistol. So they had some big guns too, but yeah, they had no chance. And they were wearing helmets and bulletproof vests. They were no chance.
Did you know what, like, when Kate calls Matt a spook, did you know what that was?
No.
Because I wrote when Kate called Matt a spook, it felt like she called him a slur, because I had no idea what that term was, and I was like, maybe if I knew what, like, I played Black Ops or Battlefield, I would have known. But like, apparently a spook is just like a spy or an agent, like someone that's a spy.
Oh,
That's what it is. It's like, oh, you're a spy. That's basically what she said. But she called him a spook, and I was just like, the hell is that? And then it just went on, and like no one explained that. She didn't
With
go
the
like,
hard
yeah, you're
K?
definitely a spy. Yeah, exactly.
that's crazy, bro. A
was like,
spook
what the
with
heck's
the
a
hard
spook?
K.
And I was like, yeah, she's accusing him of being a spy, which is like,
Oh.
what is that? What did you saw that made you think he's a spy from
Yeah, I
what just
don't-
happened at the border?
That's what I mean. It seemed like what they did was all on the up and up. Like, yeah, he seemed shady early on, but what I just saw seemed to be
Yeah. I don't know, man. She keeps bugging.
whatever.
She's low on sleep.
yeah.
She doesn't know what's
Spook
going
with
on.
the hard K. Okay, so then they get Guillermo, they interrogate him, they get the info from him, and then they go to Tucson trying to get info on the tunnel, because there's this other guy that comes in and talks to Alejandro, and he mentions this tunnel. They never say who this guy is or how he got this information. That was kind of convenient, but so when they're getting the info from Guillermo, is that because he's the brother of the American correspondent to the cartel?
Yeah.
So were they getting information on where that guy's house is and stuff?
I guess so. I guess
Okay.
that was like their mole or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just their inside guy.
Okay. So then they get to Tucson. They're interrogating all of these Mexican people, trying to get info on the tunnel. They have the bank seizure. What was your next thing that you wanted to bring up?
I liked. I what's it called? I was confused at first when they had the whole like bus scene, or they took everyone off the bus scene. They were asking questions about like Arizona and all that stuff. I didn't obviously on the first view I was kind of like, all right, where they're going with this. Again, they're trying to leave us in the dark, but it makes more sense now, like with the retrospect of like they know there's some kind of tunnel. They're trying to figure out where's everybody moving in and out of, like who can give us information, like that kind of thing. I thought the bank scene was interesting too, just because, especially with Matt just calling and be like, hey, if she swallows the receipt, you give her the Heimlich. It's immediately the move she goes for.
Yeah.
But what about you?
The bank scene, I kind of have a weird point that like it almost never mind. I was going to say it almost doesn't have to be in there.
Okay.
But it does, because as soon as they take the money, she's like, oh, what are we doing? We can actually build a case on this. This is like $17 million and we can attach this to him. So she's going in to ask questions. He's like, don't go in the bank.
Yeah.
And then as soon as she goes in, she's on the cameras, and then this is what leads to the Punisher coming after her.
Yeah.
It does have to be in there. But I feel like the scene itself is kind of like meh, like they stole the money.
Yeah.
But I guess it is a plot point.
Yeah.
It is a plot point. Like they have to steal the money. This is how, because they're like, okay, we're going to take his money. We're going to fuck up the tunnel. This is how he's going to call his American correspondent back. And then we find out where the mob boss or the cartel boss is. It makes sense. Totally makes sense. So it's got to be in there.
Yeah. And I think it's the first time we see those like silicone like wristbands too.
Yeah.
That are wrapped around the money. We see it later also too. Like I think is it Manuel? The guy that Alejandro uses the police officer against. Was that Manuel?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, so that's what I mean. The American like cartel guy, the guy
Okay,
that gets
yeah.
called back to
He
the.
has one. He's playing
Yeah.
around with them too. So that's the second time you see
Oh,
them.
okay.
So it's like, I mean, you could have just had that scene. Maybe you didn't have to have the bank scene. But like to your point,
Yeah.
we needed her to be seen like in a public place where they could be like. I guess the cartel has access to bank cameras. I don't know, or they've got inside guys everywhere. I guess.
Yeah, I think it's more that. I think it's just like,
Yeah.
we're paying people off because they go to the same bank every week and deposit $7,000 or whatever it
Yeah.
is. Like they have to know.
No, for sure, 100%.
But another thing I like about like right after this is like she's like trying to do this legit. Like I said, right?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, we can actually build a case on this. We can arrest him. But I also like the point in the movie that they're like, we're not here to arrest the guy. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
Like this
no,
guy,
100%.
has cops paid off. I'm sure he has judges, lawyers, people in prison. He's got all these people paid off. Arresting him doesn't do shit.
No,
So like
100%.
we're not even worried about that.
Yeah.
Don't even. She's trying to do it by the book. They're like, that doesn't do anything. So I like that that's in the movie.
No, for sure, because like they're really like showing you like it's bigger than this. Like it's not. We're not
Yeah.
gonna get these little busts. Those don't do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, they even said they're like back in Arizona, like all the stuff you're doing. Do you feel like you're actually making a difference on the drug situation? She says no. She's like, no,
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything because no matter what we do to stop what's coming in, it's just another batch is going to come next week. And I don't know. I like that.
No, 100%. And like to add layers to that too. Like I remember, just like with Pablo Escobar, for example. Like they at one point he went to prison, but his prison was just like his mansion. There was like, okay, you're arrested, and they just put him and he just couldn't leave his mansion. But people could still come into him. He still had his phones. He could still make phone calls to do all the drugs. So it wasn't really like he was in prison.
Yeah. So it doesn't do
So
anything.
it's just like it doesn't do anything. Put him under. All you're doing is just putting him in a room, but he can still do all the same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So then we get the bar scene.
Yeah.
She starts hooking up with the Punisher. Like I said, this is what I just keep writing the Punisher. What's his name? Ted.
Ted.
Yeah, Ted. And it looked like Reggie was cooking too in the bar.
Yeah, you kind of did. I was
spitting.
wondering if we're gonna get any more of that. Like we're gonna see like a little
I know.
cutscene of him with the homegirl that it was in the. But I don't know. We just assume we know. He
Yeah,
did it.
because 100%. Yeah, he closed. He closed for sure. Because I mean, Kate got it done. That's the relationship, bro. Wingman, wing
Yeah.
woman. This is what they do, bro. They go to the bar. They find a man for Kate. They find a girl for Reggie, and they shut shit down, bro. But I also wrote down Daniel Kaluuya with a white girl scares me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And like you said, this is Jordan Peele saw this and he was like, "Okay, I got something here.
got it.
I
Yeah,
got something here.
that's my guy. That's Chris right there. So she notices the bracelet. He takes it out of his
Yeah.
pocket. She notices the bracelet. So then they fight, and she gets saved by Alejandro. I remember the first time watching this, I did not expect this.
Like for him to save her.
Well,
just for that to happen at
but
all?
also for the fight. Like they were hooking up.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, they're hooking up, whatever. And then he pulls out the thing. I was like, oh shit. And then she starts like grabbing the gun, and he's like you talked about before. Like we see him choking her out.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, she's fucked.
Yeah, I know. I had so many thoughts came to me, and I like the first time my thought was, yo, how do you like? Sure, he has one of those bands, but he's like one of you guys, from what I know, right? Like he's one of them. Why? Maybe he just had that from evidence. Maybe he thought it was cool. Yeah, like I don't. Maybe like they're collecting the money and like, oh, it's a nice little bracelet. Maybe I'll give this to my daughter. She jumped to those conclusions so fast. You didn't know 100%.
She was right.
She was right, but that was my first thought. I thought it was gonna be one of those situations because the way he was like, "Yo, stop!" Like, whoa,
Yeah.
talk to me. I thought he was like, "Okay, yeah." He's just like, "This is a misunderstanding," and
Right.
clearly it wasn't. But that was
Yeah.
my first thought, thinking like, "Okay, it's not a misunderstanding." Second of all, like you said, I did not expect that to happen. I wasn't sure how the save was gonna happen. I was like, "Is she just like she can't die right now? Like, how is she gonna get saved? Who's gonna save? Reggie's gonna save her? That's what I was the main person I was expecting." But I was like, why would he be around? He's closing right now.
Exactly, bro. But I mean, even Alejandro saving her, does that really make sense? Like, why?
In what sense?
Why is Alejandro there and he's just is at her apartment and opens the door at the perfect time so he can save her. That's a little convenient.
Well, he's
for me.
watching. Isn't he
Why
watching?
is he watching?
Because he knows that that dude's a spook.
Oh, does he know?
I think so. They're like they made it seem like that was the whole plan. Like, we told her not to go in that bank, and then ever since then, I think they've been kind of watching her,
yeah,
waiting for
You're
something to
probably right.
happen.
Yeah, because she does say right after when Matt pulls up, she's like, "Oh, so you use me as bait?" And he's like, "You use yourself as bait. I didn't tell you to go in that bank."
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was thinking, I was like, "Oh, this is all part of the plan. It's a messed up plan, but y'all let it get far." Like, how long were they waiting?
Because he doesn't stop her from going in the bank. Like, he says, "Don't go in the bank," but then she goes, and he's like, "Oh, she's going to the bank." Whereas, like, if you actually didn't want someone to get,
you would have go grab her or something.
yeah, you would have been like, "No, don't go in a bank. You will get a hit taken out on you."
Exactly, 100%. But he's like, we could use this. We'll go
Yeah.
there. The one other thing I want to add on to this too, and it's not really like I'm not giving them my Ferris Bueller, like the cartel, but my question is, why do they have these little cute silicone bands why not just use rubber bands?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, I get it, you're a business, but why do you want to have branding?
What do you mean?
Why are you trying to branding your illegal activity?
Here's why. Well, you saw Fausto, so the leader of the cartel.
Yeah.
Well, his family. He's got 2 sons. He's got to sell the wristbands for his kids' soccer jerseys, bro. Come on now.
It's
a
guess
fundraiser.
so. I guess so. But I
But
guess,
no,
like,
it's a good point. It is a good point. There's no reason for them because even like when they stop them at the bank, there's a whole bunch of extra wristbands. in there. It's like, why are those there?
Why are you branding your illegal activity?
And it's also why do you then give one to all of your undercover cops? Like the Punisher comes and he pulls one out of his pocket. It's like, okay, here's your, $1,000 for the week to give us the information, and here's your complimentary wristband. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the cartel. That's just their uniform, bro. Welcome. Here's the cartel wristband.
Oh my goodness! And I thought that was funny because I didn't really think about it the first time. But I'm like, why are you branding yourself? I don't know.
Yo, that's such a good point. I never thought of it too, but you're totally right. There's no reason for that. I just have a funny image of them like welcoming people to the team and like what else did they get in their loot bag, bro? They're like, okay, here's a little cocaine to get you started. Here's a nice wad of cash and your cartel wristband. Good point.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny. What do we have next? Okay, so then we're getting ready for the mission again.
Yeah.
They're in like the hotel, and this is when we get like the first inkling of the twist, I guess, where Matt tells him, he's like, we only got you here because we need a connection to a different agency so we can operate here. But they come anyways. Yeah. And Reggie's even like, why are we even entertaining this shit? Like, he literally just told us, fuck you. You're only here you're useless. But she's like, no, I have to go.
Yeah. She's like, I need to know. She's like,
yeah.
Which I understand. This whole time you've just been in the dark. You're like, I need to know what's going on. Like, I've already been put through all this nonsense. I got choked. I need to see why.
True.
What's going on here? I can't just let this go.
Yeah. Yeah. She's got the shit beaten out of her throughout this whole movie. She's like, I got to see this through. She can't just turn around and go home and be like, well, that sucked.
Yeah, exactly. Read it on the news, see what happened. Nah, I gotta. And she probably knew you wouldn't even see it on the news, actually. She wouldn't know exactly what. Yeah.
Definitely not. And then another shout out to Denis for this build up going into the scene. We get the music's blaring. We get a cool night vision shots.
So
like we see like footprints, and there's a dope shot that I wanted to shout out of. They're getting geared up like in the desert, and then the sun's going down. So we have the orange, pinky like hue of the sun, and then the silhouette of the soldiers walking. It looks fucking sick.
It's so dope. And apparently that scene almost got cut.
Really?
Yeah, like when they were going through all the drafts, like I think it was like not the producer, like the line, like I don't know who was that was trying to get. I guess the studio was kind of like when because they always like they watch the movie and try to cut things out. I was like, we don't need that to be in there because it's more like a visual thing, and they're like, maybe we cut that out just for pacing, and they're like, nah, let's like they really fought to keep that, and I'm like, I'm glad they did because it's such an amazing shot.
It is. Yeah. And like I was talking about, this movie's pacing is already fast as hell.
Yeah. How's something slow in there?
Yeah.
Like it's the slow build of going into the raid into the tunnel.
Because the movie's only 2 hours. It's
Yeah,
not
no,
like
it's not that
why
long.
do they have to cut it any shorter? Fucking
I know.
studios, man.
Yeah,
Yo,
I know.
the only thing I hear about studios is them messing shit up.
Oh,
I
yeah, it's
guess
always yeah.
maybe they don't. Maybe I just don't hear about the good stuff. I don't know.
There's rare, but it's mostly you'll hear like oh they're trying to cut this, they didn't want to do
Yeah,
this movie, too much money, and then
fucking suits, man. So then we get
100%.
into the tunnel. So we have this whole tunnel scene. It starts off so fucking sick.
Oh
I mean,
yeah, yeah.
like they cut all the music. It's dead quiet. We just hear their communication. Everything's black. We get the visual night vision, and it's really cool that we're seeing it from. I think it's Kate's perspective that we're seeing at first because it's a
Yeah.
POV of the night vision, and we don't see the first person that went in, which I believe is Alejandro,
Mhm.
but we just hear him killing dudes, and then we
Yeah.
see the bodies as she catches up to him. It's fucking crazy.
And it's like I think it was infrared, like the white, because I know the
Yeah,
green is the. I've never seen infrared like white like that. I feel like it's usually like blue, and then you see like the heat of the bodies is like red. I've never seen like a white.
I have no
I
idea if
mean,
that's real or
I
not. Yeah,
I don't know if it's real either. It looked sick though.
exactly. Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, that's all that really. Yeah, it
You
was
know
a
what I
sick
actually read
visual.
about that too was I don't know if it was the cinematographer, effects guy, whoever.
Yeah.
They basically heated up the soles of boots
Mm-hmm.
before they walked on the ground, and then they took that shot so that it would really enunciate,
Oh.
because like in real life it wouldn't be that like bright and vibrant,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
like the heat difference, because they're in the desert, right? So it's already pretty warm. It's
Yeah, that's
night,
true.
so it's still cold, but like it wouldn't heat up that much and be that big of a
Yeah, yeah,
difference.
yeah.
So like they actually warmed up their shoes and took the steps
Oh,
to
that's
get that
sick.
shot.
That's
Yeah.
really dope. Yeah, I mean that does make sense. I didn't really think about it like oh that doesn't make any sense, but
Hmm.
when as you describe it, I'm like yeah, I probably wouldn't show, and them doing that makes sense why it showed the way. That's really cool.
Yeah. But it's such a cool like directorial choice, I feel like, to like not to introduce us to the tunnel in this way. It almost builds up the fear more. Like we talk
Yeah.
about a lot, like your mind, if you don't show us what's behind the curtain or like, what's around the corner, our minds will just make it even more scary than it
Oh,
actually is. So
yeah.
like by not showing us and having her lead up and we just hear the sounds of him stabbing people and gunshots, and then we see the bodies as we lead up, is a super cool way to enter this tunnel, I think.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, it makes it like you don't know if she's safe. Like, is something gonna happen to her? Is she gonna have to fight? Like, someone gonna pop out of a corner and then she's gonna have to. You're just like because it's slowly moving, and then yeah, all you like you said, all you're hearing is people communicating. At one point, it gets completely silent, and all you hear is the gunshots. It's like, oh snap.
Yeah. So then, yeah, she goes the opposite way. She sees Alejandro go the other way. She follows him. He gets our boy, what was his name? I had it written down. Silvio,
Yeah.
the Mexican cop,
Mhm.
loading up the drugs. He takes out the guys, and then she sees him, and he shoots her right away. Again, even on second
Yeah.
watch, I did not remember this happened. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. No, I forgot about that too.
I was not expecting it, but it was pretty tough where he's like, as soon as he turns around, just bop right in her. I mean, he knows that she has the vest, right? So he's just
Yeah.
like disarming her. Then he walks right up to her. And he says, "Never point a gun at me again." That was
Yeah,
fucking
that was hard.
cold.
Yeah, that was hard.
Did you so what did you think of when like Alejandro took this other route? Did you, because we don't have the reveal yet. Like Matt doesn't tell
Yeah.
us why he's doing this, but we're like, okay, he's going off on the other side. Like what's about to happen?
Yeah, yeah. No, I had no idea. I thought again, I at this point I still assumed okay, like they're doing this in a way that's not supposed to be done. Like they're not
Hmm.
like they're gonna try to like slow their way in there, and then maybe they're gonna like try to I don't know if they're gonna try to like kidnap somebody or something like that, like and then try to get answers out of him or like I don't know what their scheme was. I just knew they were about to do something dirty, and the fact that he had to shoot her like that, I'm like, okay, something wild's about to happen. But
Yeah.
and again, I didn't know he had his own personal motivations. I wasn't thinking. I thought he was just like this guy's part of the team, and we're letting him loose because he's just one of those sick guys. Like he's just one of those animals we can just let loose.
Yeah. It's one of the good things that I like about this movie is that the timing of the twist I think is done really well. So like we
Yeah.
see Alejandro and we're like, okay, he's now through to the other side of the tunnel, and he has Silvio, and he has all the drugs and the cop, and he's decked out in all this gear, And you know, now he has the information. We know that we're following this guy, the American dude that's going to the boss's house. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I guess he's going to the boss's house, but like we don't know for sure. But it just we get to the situation where like, what, I need to know what happens next. Like
Yeah.
it's done so well that like it builds the suspense so well that I would lock the fuck in at this point.
Oh, 100%. And when we finally do learn the motivation too, where
Yeah,
he
that's
says,
next. So go ahead.
oh yeah, when he says that like his his wife got beheaded and his daughter got thrown into acid or whatever, I was just like, Jesus.
Yeah. Fuck, man. Cut off her head and threw his daughter in a vat of acid.
Yeah, it's wild. Ugh. That's
And it was pretty tough too. He's like, Alejandro is like, he's someone that works for anyone that will get him closer to the man that did this to his family. And they were like, oh shit. So this was the big twist.
Yeah.
That they're also the reveal that they're basically, because I keep saying like they're almost working for the Colombian cartel, but they're also not. Like
Yeah.
he's saying that they want one person out of control. I guess it doesn't necessarily matter who. I guess it's just easier for Colombia because they can affect the Mexican cartel easier because they're geographically closer. Maybe
Yeah.
also they have more control, so it's just less that they have to take out if they take out the Mexican cartel. But like, because she's like, "Oh, you work for Colombia," and he's like, "No, I just want order." But it's one of those things where it's like he's built up to be a villain throughout the movie, Matt. But like when he makes this point where it's like the drugs aren't going to stop being used, so where if we do it this way, at least we'll have order and we can control and we can
Yeah.
limit the amount of negativity and victims. It makes sense.
No, it does. It does make sense. And again, you can understand both sides. Like, I mean, Matt's character he's been treating her like shit, so you don't
Yeah.
expect her to be like, you know what, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
so and like the way the way she is, she hasn't been in as long as these guys have and seen everything. Like a lot of this stuff, like the stuff that she's seeing for the first time. They're sadly numb to a lot of this stuff. So like they're just like, this shit's messed up. This is the only way we can do it. She's still like optimistic, but like, no, we can do everything by the book. They're like, we tried doing shit by the book. That shit, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, and everybody knows it. To go back to the boss being like, "Do you notice any differences?" And
Mhm.
it's like, "Nope." Well, that's why we're not doing it this way.
It's such a like it makes sense, but like it's also such a shitty thing. It's like then why are we doing all this other stuff? Like we're spending all this money getting raids and like
Yeah, I know.
grabbing drugs. Because there's a funny thing too when they're in the hotel just before the tunnel mission, and Matt tells them he's like, "Yeah, you're just here so we have a connection to the CIA or whoever it is." And he's like, "Well, if we find any drugs, you can claim those." Because he
Yeah.
doesn't care, right? He's like,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
exactly.
like confiscating drugs, like it doesn't do anything. It doesn't change anything. So it's crazy. Like you still have to do it. You still have to police, but like it to know that it has no effect is that's fucking
Yeah.
just sucks.
Them getting those drugs is like it's like you're just getting a grain. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, here you go. Here's a little grain. Nice.
Yeah.
It's like taking one slice of bread out of a whole loaf. It's like, oh, congratulations.
Exactly.
They still got that loaf over there, and people are still
Yeah.
dying. But hey, you got that loaf. Nice.
Good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we get basically we're at the end of the movie. Alejandro gets into Silvio's car, leads him into the boss's house, takes them all out, and then kills the boss after. That was pretty cool that he took his family out first just to be like,
Yeah.
fuck you. I want you to know that your family died before I killed you.
Yeah, that's wild. This scene too surprised the hell out of me. Like I did not expect that. I remember on the first watching the one thing too, which is like it's so messed up, but it's just like when I'm watching, I'm just like shaking my head. I'm just like the whole emphasis of just like keep eating. He keeps telling his kids to keep eating. I'm like, yeah, Dad, I'm gonna be able to enjoy my rice and chicken when this guy is just freaking pointing a Glock at me. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Keep
Like
eating.
he's like, yeah, go ahead, keep eating. They expect you to be like, okay. Sure,
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Just keep going, talking about his soccer game, his soccer practice. Like, there's a dude with a gun pointed at your head. This is not normal. I'm not just gonna keep eating. And his wife's just sitting there like crying the whole time because she knows
Terrified,
they're
yeah.
fucked. But Alejandro is tough during this. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he has Silvio, and he gets Manuel. He gets him to come out of the car, shoots him in the leg, leads him up, and then when he drives up to the house, and there's the 3 security guards, and then Alejandro Souza, pop, 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 3 straight headshots, takes them all out. And Manuel, I guess he choked or he's cut his throat or something, like because he's
Wait,
bleeding
who?
out through his
Oh
throat
yeah, I think
when he
so.
pulls up to the house.
Yeah. He must have done something like that. I don't.
But if that was
because they don't show it, but
yeah, because we show him in the car and he's like, okay, drive up to the house slowly, and
yeah,
then it cuts to the security guard. So it's like a mini reveal that he's
yeah,
dying. But if you were Manuel, right, and there was this guy with a gun to your head, obviously you're gonna do what he says when you're in the car. But then he gets out of the car and he's now slit your throat or whatever.
yeah.
Would you then be like, okay, now I'm gonna drive up to the house like he told me? Or
Yeah,
would you
I
be like,
know.
fuck you, I'm dead?
Yeah, maybe he tells him like, "Hey, drive up there, and I'll make sure you're good." He's like, "I don't know if I can trust this dude."
But his neck is cut.
Yeah,
I'm not
I
good.
guess I don't know. Maybe he's still threatening his kids or whatever.
Oh,
Like, hey,
true.
if you don't drive up there, I'm gonna kill your kids.
Oh yeah, no, because he said he was like, if you don't do it, your daughter will be. Oh, I don't even. I
Like
don't
passed
even wanna
around
say
by
it.
20 dudes or whatever.
Basically, basically is what he said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's wild. Yeah, I
Fucking
know.
hell.
I know. So it's just like he's probably still thinking off that. He's like, well, this guy
Yeah.
know if this guy found me like this, he probably definitely knows where I live and everything, probably. So
Yeah,
he can probably get to my family. So I'm just gonna do what he says so he doesn't mess with my family. That's
You're
the thing
right.
that gets all these dudes at the end of the day. It's like they're all sick bastards, but it's just like if you find out they have a family, which again, they're normal guys, they're normal men, but it's just like if you're getting into this business, I don't know if you should I don't know if you should have a family because you're very
Yeah.
vulnerable now, and it's just like look at Alejandro's situation. I mean, he's different. He wasn't trying
He
to get
was
in this
doing it the
life,
right
but
way. Yeah,
yeah, he
man,
was
he
trying
was
to do it the
good.
right way. But and then the thing too, when the guy's just like, it wasn't personal. Come on, dog. You didn't just kill my wife and kids. that even if it wasn't personal, you did it like that is
Yeah,
insane.
beheading and vat of acid seems pretty personal.
Yeah, 100%. It's not like he found them with 2 bullet holes in their head. Then you'd be like,
Exactly.
if you told me that wasn't personal, you could be like, I probably wasn't. I'm still pissed at you, but
Yeah, I'm still gonna kill you.
yeah, but what you did was ridiculous. Like, yeah, it was way over the line.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. It wasn't personal. But I mean, I feel like it's also because they like in Juarez, we see them hanging bodies up and stuff, right? So it's
Yeah,
all like kind of to send a message. So maybe
yeah,
it's more to send a message to other people and
yeah. I
it
guess
isn't
so.
personal, but like, I mean, either way, fuck you.
Yeah,
It
no,
really doesn't matter.
100%.
Like, honestly, at that point, like, I'm holding the gun to your head and you're like, it's not personal. I don't care.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
murdered my wife and daughter. I'm like, I really don't care.
And to me, it's also one of those things. Like the cartel, I get that they do the displays thing to send a message, but like a dead body is
Yeah,
a good
it's
message
enough.
regardless. Yeah,
Yeah.
whether it's in limbs or not or whatever it is. Like if I come home, whether it's someone's beheaded or someone's just dead, it's the same message.
Yeah.
You piss me off even more, obviously. But for
It's a good point.
the other people, then there's no connection to these people. It's the same. Well, it's not the same message. I'm not gonna say that, but still, the message
Yeah,
is similar.
there's actually an interesting line that I think it's Steve that says it when they're driving through Juarez for the first time. He's like, man, they're so genius. It's so genius what they do, like hanging up the bodies and stuff. He's
Yeah,
like dismembering them and making it look like they actually were
did
part
something
of
wrong.
this. They did
Oh
something
yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
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 like those are probably innocent people that they're killing. So we understand that they're monsters,
yeah.
but if you think of the people that live in Juarez, if you string them up and make it feel like they did something wrong, like they're part of this illegal activity, then you'd be like, okay, yeah, they're actually taking out bad guys and maybe they're giving money into the streets, like you were talking about Escobar. That's what he was doing, right? He was
Yeah,
putting money back into the community, so they all loved him for it.
yeah.
In this situation, they never say that they're doing that, but it's that line when he's talking about, oh, it makes them feel like they're doing something wrong is just like a psychological like warfare tactic almost was an
Mhm.
interesting line as well.
You know what? Yeah, now I take back everything I said too. Well, I don't take back everything, but in the sense of like, I guess it does make sense when he again still wrong, but him saying it's not personal, it does make sense because it's like, well, yeah, it wasn't personal. I'm doing this so people think that the people we
Yeah,
killed had something to do with it. You know what I mean? Like they were part of this life. So like everybody, we're doing good. They still think we're doing good because we
yeah,
don't know what the public thinks of them. Maybe he comes out and maybe he's a politician. Who knows? We don't need to know all that, but we can just I mean, that's what we're the
Well,
podcast
no,
is what we're talking about.
he's not a politician because the CIA or the FBI they would know where he's at,
Yeah, I
and
guess
they
that's
don't know
true.
where he is.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, I mean, like politician more. So, and I shouldn't have said politician. I mean more so like I guess
Like a
of the
community
people.
leader. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
maybe he's not the direct face. Like
Yeah.
he has like a person in front of him, and they're trying to they're backing somebody, and like, hey, we're
Right.
doing good. We're cleaning up the streets, and like we're taking care of the bad people. Don't worry. But those are
Right.
actually just regular day people, and
Yeah.
they don't know.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Maybe.
So then we get this final scene with Alejandro and Kate. So
Yeah.
he's holding a gun to her head, saying, "You got to sign this paper, saying that we did everything by the book." And yeah, she ends up signing it. What did you think of the ending of this movie? Like, do you think it sent a specific message, or did it do anything for you?
No, I thought it was really good. Like I think they really again which we talked the whole movie we talked about the tension building and this built a lot of tension too. I wasn't sure. Like I remember the first part of me, like the first thought that goes in my head, I'm like, okay, is there a chance of him killing her? I don't think so probably. But then he says the whole thing of like when he puts the gun to her head and it's like we could make this a suicide. I'm like, "Oh." And it probably would make sense too also because it's like all the things that she's gone through. She's never been used to seeing this stuff. So I feel like they could have wrapped it up pretty well. Like if she didn't want to sign it, okay, we're just going to kill you, make it seem like it's a suicide. And we have a case here based
Mm,
off like the way you've been looking throughout this movie. You've been distraught, you've been going through a lot of stress and stuff like that. You've seen a lot of messed up shit. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe something I actually was on the edge of my seat. I remember the first time thinking like, is this how we're gonna end the movie? Like, is she gonna get got and then we're just gonna see Alejandro walk out kind of thing?
yeah.
But what about you? What were your thoughts
Yeah,
on
I
that?
think I mean, I remember at first too, I was thinking, I didn't think he was gonna kill her. I assumed she was gonna end up signing the
Okay.
paper. Like as soon as someone puts a gun to your head, like, well, what are you gonna do? Not do it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, she's like morally, she's like, oh, it's not right what we did, but also like you killed the leader of the Mexican cartel, like you accomplished the mission. Like
Yeah.
this is a good thing. Like
Hmm.
sure they did it a little backwards, but like at the end of the day, like a good thing came from this mission. And but then she holds the gun to him too. I was like, she's not gonna shoot him. Why would
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
do
No.
that?
I didn't.
But the biggest thing is like now, especially on the second watch, I'm like, when Matt came in at the beginning, right, recruiting her to the team, asking if she has a husband, kids, whatever, she's expendable. It's for this
Yeah.
reason, right? So they get to
Yeah.
the end and they're like, okay, if she talks or whatever, we can just kill her and she's expendable.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. But that makes me think like this seems so rehearsed that like this is not the first time they've done this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they've come into to CIA agencies or whatever and got people so that they can do this backward shady shit. This is definitely not the first time they've done this. Have they like they've got people to sign this paper, but there's probably some people that they've had to like kill and make a suicide because he's like he said it so point blank, like kill you, make a suicide. Like this is so practiced. Like they've done
Yeah.
this before,
No, 100%. And that's
which is
why
messed up.
it is messed up. That's why I thought maybe this could be a possibility of maybe he actually might die. But again,
Hmm.
there's the whole you still rely on like, is there plot armor here? Is she too big? Are they gonna kill Emily Blunt? I don't know. But if she
Yeah.
was gonna die, this would be a great way to go. Like in the conclusion of a movie, it's not like she just like died in the opening scene or something, or like halfway through the movie, we're like, damn, they did her like that. But
Mhm.
and then it didn't happen. But
Yeah.
you think the fact that he like that line of him saying that um you remind me of my daughter do you think that line added parts to why he didn't want to kill her possibly why he gave her the chance
Um,
or just a
not
throwaway
really.
line I guess
Yeah,
just
I don't really see too much. I don't know. I think it's more just like it's something to humanize Alejandro a little
yeah
bit.
that's fair
Because like if you have a character that's a hitman, it's easy for him to be a bad guy. But I
yeah
feel like they don't. He's not meant to be a bad guy in this
hmm
story, even though like him and Matt are kind of like they do the backwards stuff. Like they beat the shit out of Ted when they're trying to get information,
yeah
and they beat the shit out of Guillermo. Like they turn off the camera when he
yeah
goes into the interrogation room. So it's like obviously they're doing some like illegal stuff, but at the end of the day, they're fighting for good. So like they're
no that's a good
supposed to
point
be not necessarily bad guys. So I feel like it's maybe just a way to like humanize a hitman character.
yeah no that's fair the one thing I did see too also about the ending scene is apparently like they changed the ending I couldn't find any information of what the ending was supposed to be. I think it's all around that same kind of thing, like sign the paper kind of thing. But I saw Emily Blunt saying that her and that she wasn't happy with how it ended. So like Denny blocked off like a whole day so they could get it right. So what do you think
Really?
it possibly could have been? You think it just wasn't as dragged out, maybe, and they
Hmm.
wanted to add more tension to it, just make it longer?
Maybe my immediate thought is that like because her character's been pretty strong throughout the movie, right? She's shown
Yeah,
toughness at every turn. Like she's never backed down from anything. Obviously, she's not like a an action hero in the sense
yeah,
that like she knows everything. Like she's kept in the dark, so it's not like she's been the strongest like a Superman throughout the movie. But she's still been a
yeah,
strong character. And maybe like the scene was written more as like they have the paper that she's supposed to sign and they hold a gun and she's more like a scared victim so she signs
yeah,
it, so like maybe it was less so like what happened in the scene, maybe just small little things to make it feel like she's because she doesn't feel like she's a weak little girl in that scene at all,
yeah.
right? She still
No,
she's
no, true.
feels like she's strong. She's like, no, I'm not signing it. Like she really doesn't want to. And she even has the scene with the gun at the end where she's like, no, fuck you. Like I want you to know that I'm not gonna shoot you,
Yeah,
but like I want you to know that like I hate what you just did to me. So like
yeah,
maybe it's just little things like that to make her character seem more like strong in that sense. I
yeah.
don't know.
No, that's a good point. And I think I think you're around the right area of what it probably was, because I feel like maybe it was that, like where they had her just he was like sign it and then she signed it quickly, because I feel like the movie was slowly just building her character to like she's just slowly getting like worse and worse with everything that's going on, and like her
Hmm.
mental health and just the way she's like, again, they're saying like Reggie was saying she wasn't looking good, and then she hasn't been eating and stuff like that. So like I guess that would have been like, and then we lead to that final scene where it's like she's finally broken. She just
Right.
signs it. Maybe we just ends with her crying, and then I can see why like Emily Blunt would want to like, nah, I don't think my character, like she's been so strong, like even though she's been
Hmm.
having tough times, there's always been a lot of pushback, and I feel like there should still be some pushback, but at the end there's still a little bit of a like that moment of like her still putting the gun down. She didn't switch that much where it's just like, now I'm gonna come, because that wouldn't have made sense if she shot him, because then
Yeah,
that wouldn't have been
exactly.
consistent with her character.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
Yeah. I
probably is
like when
around those lines.
I like when movies though like they end with like a question like that.
Yeah,
Like an existential thing for her. She's like, "Man, I really didn't want to sign this paper, but I had no choice." And then it has us asking, and this is obviously every movie's different,
yeah,
sometimes if you end it with a big final fight, like that's the end of your movie. It just depends on what the movie is, but
yeah.
I like this. I mean, this is what art's all about, right?
No,
Asking
for sure.
questions, getting us people talking and stick.
100%.
Okay, facts. Do you have any facts that you didn't get to?
Um, yeah, the only other what facts do I got? Oh yeah, yeah. I got two facts. Do you have how many? Do you have any?
I have two as well.
Okay, so one of them I saw was that Emily Blunt she was so sick from food poisoning while filming in Mexico that they actually had to she had to require like IV fluids between takes just to make it through some of her scenes.
I saw that was one of my facts. I saw the
Oh,
exact same
okay,
thing.
that's wild.
And well, the thing that's so interesting about that is that it works so well because, like you said, Reggie said that her character looks like shit.
Yeah.
He was like she got back smoking, right? Like so she started
Hmm.
smoking again. She said she hasn't been eating. She obviously hasn't been sleeping. She's gotten choked out, like all this stuff that like she's supposed to look like hell. And she actually went through like food poisoning, so it would have helped her
Yeah.
look like shit, I guess, you know?
No, 100%. Yeah, which I thought that's why I clocked that too, because I was like, that's so weird, because that fits with her character.
Yeah.
It's like, did she give? Is that method acting to the extreme? Yo, did she give herself food
Yeah, maybe
poisoning?
Denise slipped her some fucking. All right, give her the bad chicken. Give her the week old chicken. We're all eating the fresh stuff. Give her the week old stuff so she looks like ass.
Oh my goodness, you'd be. That's
That's got to
hilarious.
be illegal. I don't think you could do that.
Nah, you did it.
Poison your actors so that they look good.
Not in Canada, yo. That's where he's from, yo. We can do whatever to our. No, I'm just kidding.
Whoa.
No, I'm just kidding. But
Yeah,
that's
but no,
good.
that was a cool one.
What about
My
you?
other one is so Denis and Benicio Del Toro
Yeah.
together, like they agreed on this. They basically they cut 90% of Alejandro's original lines from
Oh
the
damn.
script. So he was supposed to talk way more. He was supposed to be a lot more clear about his background, his family and his job as a prosecutor and all this stuff.
Mhm.
But they really thought that preserving the mystery around his character, which is a really good part of this movie, right? Like him
Yeah.
and why he's there and who he is. Like that's a really good question that you keep asking throughout this movie. So like they cut a whole lot of his lines to really preserve that mystery of the character.
Oh, it's interesting, and I always like it when you hear those kind of things, like because that's how you know a character, like an actor is like really like invested in their character, like
Hmm.
that they have so much input and stuff like that. Because it's funny you mentioned that. That's literally my fact too. Not in the
Oh
exact same
wow.
word, not in the exact same words, but basically the same thing. I was just saying how like he worked really closely with Denis and them kind of shaping that character, and yeah, no, that's wild that we had the exact same thing. We just
The
both,
two
yeah.
same
We got to certify it in
facts.
our facts.
Certified facts. You're right.
Yeah, like that, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. Yeah, that's never.
That's a
gonna
certified fact.
happen.
But 90% of the lines, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Yo, the dialogue writer would probably been like, "Yo, what the fuck? What do I?
Yeah,
Am I
what
still
the
getting
hell,
paid?
bro?
Do I still get paid? or, or does 90% of my paycheck go away because of it?"
Maybe this, honestly, that should have been my lazy award to Benicio Del Toro. Bro just didn't want to speak
Oh,
for
yeah.
the whole movie. He's like, you know what, Denis? I think we should cut that. Yeah, we should cut that too. That
think we
one,
should-
yeah, I don't think we should cut that. My character should be a complete mystery. I don't have to do anything.
I think we should cut some of these scenes too. I have a golf tournament that day. I mean, I feel like it would help my my character's development if I'm in less scenes. I think my paychecks would be the same though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fucking Benicio, you lazy piece of shit. We're on to you, bro. Yeah, we're talking about the mystery around the character.
Oh, yeah.
Hell no. We're on to you, bro.
Nah, you just wanted to work less. Bro. You were hungover. You didn't want to talk much. You had a little bit of like frog in your throat. We got you.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, we're
We
on
got
to you,
you.
bit. We're on to you. Well, we haven't seen the sequel. Maybe in the sequel he talks a lot more. I
Oh,
don't know.
maybe. Yeah. They made him. They're like, nah, we see what you did in the last movie.
Yeah, you got to talk twice as much now just for what the fuck he did in that first one.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, if that's it, let's get to the filmies.
Let's get to the filmies. Welcome to ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the filmies. If you're new to the podcast, this is a part of the show where we give out 6 awards to the film. Our first award that we have is our Ferris Bueller Award. So the Ferris Bueller Award is kind of we've been talking about it throughout the pod. It's our lazy award. So we give it to, it could be a writer, actor, anybody that's involved in the movie that we deemed them being lazy, but it's not something that we actually think ruined the movie. It's just something fun that we wanted to point out. So Scott, what was your Ferris Bueller Award?
I gave mine to Kate.
Okay.
And it's when Reggie drives them to Tucson, right? So they pull up and there's like the bus scene. There are all the Mexicans are off the bus and they're asking questions. So Reggie pulls up and he's asking all the questions to Kate, like, why are we here? Who are these guys? Like, what happened in El Paso and Juárez? Like, what's going on? And Kate's like, you don't think I asked these questions? And he's like, okay, well, let me talk to you for a second then, Matt. And he immediately says, tell us or we walk. And then
Yeah.
Matt tells them. And I'm like, Kate, you didn't think of that? Like you're like, oh, you didn't think I asked all these questions? Clearly not. You didn't just say, tell me or I'll get out of here. That's all Reggie had to say, and he spilled all the beans. I had trouble finding a lazy award in this movie. It was a good movie, so that's what I got.
That's still good. No, that's good. That's a good point. Yeah, it was because at first I was like, they're not gonna tell you shit, and then he's like, tells her to walk. All right, boom, just start instantly just start telling everything. That's a good point.
Like, why did you think of that, Kate? That's lazy.
That's well deserved. Yeah, she didn't think she had that power for whatever reason. Like she didn't realize you hold all the power. They need you. I guess they didn't. She didn't really know, but still, she's never threatened them. She's not a threat type, I guess.
Lazy.
That's lazy. No, it's fair.
What's yours?
Mine goes to Ted, and again, I'm going back to the silicone wristband shit because to me, the laziness goes to again. I think this is going along the same lines as you. Of just like it was kind of hard to find a, a
Yeah, it
Ferris
was.
Bueller.
It was.
But I'm giving him a Ferris Bueller because like, why are you keeping this around? Like after you got your money, whatever, like put that shit away. Like it's the laziness of not realizing that you should be hiding that thing. That's not something you can just keep in your pocket and then throw around and not, you know what I mean? Or at least have not laziness for not having an excuse ready. This man just was like, listen, and then just starts choking her.
Right. Yeah. He's got to have his commemorative wristband, man. He's like,
I guess
I don't know,
so,
the
bro.
company wristband. But honestly, that's a really good point. Like, why have that in your pocket on your keys? Like, he's not even wearing it, so you just have it in your pocket for what reason? And you're going to kill someone that knows about the cartel and like is in this whole world. Bad move.
He wasn't prepared. That's what it came down to. Like, I wonder if actually like sleeping with her was part of the plan. Or like, was he just supposed to like just to talk? I guess
probably
maybe
just he was like, "Mate, if I can,
Yeah,
you know,
I guess
if I can get with Emily Blunt before killing her,
yeah, that's true.
why would he not?"
Is it one of those things where he's gonna sleep with her and try to get like you know like some like pillow talk out of her and see what she knows? Maybe that was kind of the deal, kind of thing. But also,
actually, I think it is that because
Yeah.
he said they wanted to see what you know.
yeah. So I don't think he wanted to kill her immediately, but also like, well, why did he take that out of his pocket? He was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you through in a second." I thought he was gonna take off his pants, but then he just take things out of his. They took a wristband out of his pocket.
Well, it was
That
the
was
keys. I think it was more the keys.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You
I'm
don't want
not
keys
in
in your
love.
pocket when you're
I'm
doing
not in
that.
love with this Ferris, but
Hey, I'm not in love with mine
Yeah,
either. But hey, we got to pick one.
you got to do what you got to do, man.
Should we switch it to Benicio for cutting 90% of his lines?
Yeah, sure. We already
Benicio,
Yeah, exactly.
you're lazy. We broke the rules. Fuck you.
Our next award is our fit check. So pretty self-explanatory. What was your favorite fit of the movie, Scott?
I gave mine to Benicio Alejandro.
Okay.
And it's when he gets on the plane. There's not a lot of fits. There's not a lot of fits of this movie, but it was pretty clean. He's got the white suit, the dark blue shirt.
Yeah.
The dark blue and the white was really sick. There was like I think a brown tie. It was like brown or purple. I couldn't really tell. The tie I didn't even like that much, to be honest. But like the dark blue and the white suit and the sunglasses, yeah, he was looking cold.
No, it's fresh. That was actually, I thought about that. That was my runner up.
Okay.
At first I found that I saw something that I liked a little bit more because again, like you said, this movie doesn't have too many fits. So it's like you're kind of stretching, you're like, because a lot of time they're just like in tactical gear or whatever it is, or like people just dress very regular. Like when they go to the bar, Reggie's wearing a t-shirt and jeans. Like
I was looking for the bar too. Like when we got to that scene, I was like, okay, this would be an opportunity for a fit check. I almost gave it to the bartender, but he just had like everyone. It was like a country bar, so everyone was just wearing like a plaid shirt and jeans.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like, like is this enough for an award? Like maybe I like that fit, but it's like an award. Like I'm saying, this is the best thing in the movie.
Yeah,
so it's just
it's
like, it's fishing. It is fishing. But
what was yours then?
Mine I gave to one of Fausto's, like the head honcho guy. That was his name, Fausto or whatever.
Yeah,
I gave not to him though. It was one of his security guards.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the ones that got shot because he had like this. And it's mostly the top too. He's wearing this red button up, and then over top he had like this silver jacket. And I thought it was kind of fresh. It's kind of funny too. He had like a Pitbull look going on, kind of. Like I see Pitbull wearing this because he even had the goatee that Pitbull had, and he was bald. And I was like, okay, but then after he got shot, and then they showed his body on the ground, I was like, he's rocking that with jeans. I thought he was wearing matching. Like
he was wearing jeans.
He's wearing jeans with that, and I was like, come on, dog. Like, so I didn't really like the bottom part, but when he was alive and the parts that we saw, the up part, I like that part. So he gets my fit check for that.
You know what? That's actually kind of funny because I thought that too when he pulled up to the house. I was like, oh, these guys kind of got some fits going on.
Yeah,
I was looking like when we got to Fausto, like when they were sitting at dinner. I almost gave it to his wife too. She had a pretty nice.
Okay,
fit
yeah, I thought about that too. Yeah.
I had a couple runner-ups, but the silver jacket and red shirt sounds nice, but with jeans, what the hell?
Yeah, man? I don't know what he was thinking, bro. Like,
so wait, so this is a duel. Is this your best and worst fit of the movie? Is it?
Oh,
is
that's true.
Worst
It's like 50-50. It's a horrible combination, but I like the top.
True. Yeah.
So I don't know. You know what? No, whatever. I was gonna say this is my worst fit, but it's not. It's not that. I like half
No,
of
it's
it, so I
not.
can't say it's the worst fit.
Yeah.
I almost now we're talking about. I almost want to give it to Reggie for wearing that fit to the cowboy fucking bar. You could have done more. He still pulled though, so I guess it didn't. I can't roast him too much.
Honestly, wasn't Kate wearing just like some pants and a baggy ass shirt to the
That's
bar
what I'm
too?
saying. She didn't know though. He brought her there in defense. She just said I need a drink. He's not expecting to
Yeah,
go
but
anywhere. Like
were they gonna go to a bar?
yeah, but you don't have to dress up for a bar. You're just gonna go pull up to the and just grab a
Yeah, I
drink. You're not
guess.
expecting to be all that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're
But
right. Don't talk shit about Reggie. He still pulled.
yeah, that's true. No, you're right. You're right. Our next award that we have is our quote. So again, self-explanatory. What's your favorite quote of the movie, Scott?
It's kind of a long one, but
That's
I
good.
gave it to Dave, who's like Kate's boss at
Yeah.
the FBI, and it's right after the bank scene
Mhm.
when she's talking to them, and we were talking about it earlier, where he's like, "Do you feel like you're doing anything?" Like it's pushing this whole theme of doing stuff by the book is not enough,
Yeah.
and he says, "These decisions are made far from here by officials elected to office, not appointed to them. So if your fear is operating out of bounds, I am telling you, you are not. The boundary's been moved." And I don't know, it just really stuck with me. I like that theme, that point in the movie, and it really makes the point that doing stuff by the book isn't enough. And
Mhm.
I think just the way it's said, the line, I just it stuck with me. I liked it.
No, it's good. I really like that quote too. Like that stuck with me too. Like there's certain things said in this movie that I'm like you remember and like because I think it's a big like a crucial part of the movie where you realize that like because you're thinking that maybe she'll go to like her boss and he'll be like, oh really, I didn't know they were doing that, but he knows
Right.
exactly what's going down, so it's like a shock for them. They're like, oh, I thought I was telling you something and you're gonna be surprised. Like nah, I know what's going on. It's
Yeah.
like this is just the way it is. It's
That's
very
a
much
yeah.
flip.
That's a really good point, actually. I didn't even like think of that about my own quote, but yeah, that's a good point that like we don't know if he's not, I don't want to say in on it, but
Yeah.
if he's aware of it, but he's literally like, nah, they like the higher ups in the country, the people that are elect office, they're if you're worried about operating out of bounds, this is what we do. You're
Yeah.
good. Do
Yeah.
whatever shady shit you got to do,
Which is wild, but it's just like, oh, damn. Okay.
but
That's
necessary.
100% necessary.
Yeah.
That's a good quote. I like that. I didn't know Jennings was gonna get some love in this movie besides just
That's
mentioning him as Firestorm. So I'm
yeah.
glad he got
I
more.
gave him some love.
I'm glad he
Yeah.
got more than that. My favorite quote goes to Reggie. So I went the funny route on this. It's just when he's fucking
Nice.
roasting her at the bar when he's like you look like shit. And like everyone on the team's talking about it. Kate used to be the number 1 draft pick. Now she looks like shit.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Number 1 draft pick.
I mean, we didn't see any other women, so I don't know if that's saying much being the number 1 draft pick, but
But I feel like
but
that's such a weird way to talk about like your coworker. You know,
yeah,
like
I
everyone
know.
around the office, like, yeah, she's the hot girl that everybody wants to get with, but now she
Yeah.
looks terrible.
I don't know,
Wild.
it's fucked up. I think there's especially because we talk about how this movie's so like grim and stuff. That was like one of the few like funny parts of the movie. So then I didn't remember that line being in there. So when I heard him say that, I'm like, God damn, that's savage, man. Like
Yeah,
at
I
first
think
that's
that's
yeah.
well, I was just gonna say that's like kind of their relationship. Like we said, like when he's like, "Oh, you gotta get you some new bras, like something lacy and nice."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Man, the only person that sees me in a bra is you, and you're like my brother." So like
Yeah.
the fact that they're cracking on each other is yeah some light, I guess, to throw in the movie. But if you think about it, these are two coworkers, two partners that were just cops, so
Yeah.
they're they would have a banter back and forth.
No, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Which yeah, no, I just thought that quote was funny. But
Yeah, I like it.
our next award that we have is the Six Man. So Six Man, aka our Nas Reed Award, is an award that we give to someone that they didn't quite get the MVP, but they in their small role we thought they showed out. We don't always stay true to that, it being a small role sometimes, but it's also just our way of being able to shoehorn something in that didn't fall into
Yeah.
another category of an award. So who's your Six Man, Scott?
Yeah, I feel like Six Man. Yeah, you're right. We kind of play with wishy washy with the with the rules. Honestly, I think we should set the rule that basically, as long as it's not like you can't be the director.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good rule. Obviously, can't be your main character.
Yeah.
And after that, it gets a little subjective. Like like I feel like in this movie, I feel like you couldn't give it to maybe like Matt,
Yeah.
Kate. Obviously,
Yeah.
she's the main character, and Denis. Other than that, everyone's at least like a little side
Yeah.
character,
No,
like
I agree.
six
Like
man
you
coming off
said,
the bench.
writer, the director can't. I feel like writer almost falls into that too.
Yeah, you're
When,
right. Writer can't.
but yeah, writer, director, main characters. I guess
Okay, I like
it always
that.
feels weird, and I'm about to do it. That's why I'm saying this. I think it always feels weird when it's like doing someone that kind of has a big role, but it's not one of those big threes. I'm like, well, they didn't have a small role. They kind of did a lot. Like if we like even when we say like I'm not even calling you out because I think I've done it too. Like if we say like the editor or something.
Right.
That's not a small role.
You're right.
They
Yeah,
edited
you're right.
the whole
That's not a
damn
small
movie.
role.
They did the whole damn movie. But like I said, sometimes we got to shoehorn something in. We want to give someone love.
But I
they're not our
also think
MVP.
like it's like to the general public a
Yeah.
smaller piece of the puzzle because it's like you're right, they edited the whole movie, but editing is only at one part of the movie as a whole.
Yeah. That's true.
Right? Like they're not affecting the acting or the cinematography or
That's true.
the plot or anything. Right? All of those they're not touching. They're only touching the physical or like the visual aspects of the movie and timing and stuff like that. So like you're right, they edited the entirety of the movie, but like their impact is maybe a little bit smaller than like director, main characters, writer. That
No.
they got too much impact. Those are starters. Those are the starters. Six man is for someone coming off the bench. And anyways, enough of that explanation. I like those rules though. I like those
Yeah.
rules. Of what you
Okay.
said.
It's good.
So my six man goes to Steve. We were kind of
Okay.
talking about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
So when he was talking in the mission to Juarez, like hyping it up, saying how
Yeah.
shitty this place is, but
The
also
beach.
he had a couple funny moments, like when he first picks them up when they're getting off the plane, and Matt's just like, "Hey, how's it going?" And he's like, "When I piss, it hurts." And we're
Oh
like,
yeah.
the fuck? Why?
Yeah.
Why? Why are you saying? Why is that your response to how's it going? That's so weird. He's like, oh, is it red? Is it yellow? Like they're talking
Oh,
about his piss. And when they're on the mission to Juarez, and then there's that cop that's following him, and he's like, I'm getting a boner. And he just like yells it out loud. I was like, this guy's great.
That's a great. I almost gave it to him, to be honest. That was my runner up, but then I did my shoehorn thing. But
Yeah.
no, that's a good. That's a good. I figured you gave him some kind of award. I wasn't sure if it was six man, just because when I said his name was Steve, you
I
weren't
knew who he was.
confused. Yeah, you knew who he was because I'm like that's such a small character that I feel like you wouldn't
totally.
have known unless you gave him something.
Yeah, you're totally right.
But that's well deserved. That's well deserved.
I'm getting a boner.
Oh no, he definitely felt like some kind of comic relief, like
Yeah,
because everyone else was pretty
100%.
well. Matt was pretty chill, like for the most part, but no, he was good. That's great. That's a great segment. I like that.
Who's yours?
All right, so mine goes to Roger Deakins, who's
Okay.
he's the what's it called the DOP, like the director of photography. So
Okay.
it's like
Yeah.
it's not really a small.
He's a six man. Fuck
All
it.
right, all right, he's a six
You're
man,
fine.
but
Who
yeah,
cares?
but no, I just wanted to give him love because he's done so many big movies. He's done a lot of Denis movies too. He's legendary. I think he's been doing this since like the 70s or whatever it is, and I think he's like a Clint Eastwood. I think he's gonna do this until he's dead, basically. But no, I really liked the just the way the movie was shot. Like we were talking about how beautiful the movie looked, and like again, I know him and Denis when they make movies together, they go very much into their storyboarding. Like some directors when they go into movies, it's kind of like they know what the scene is. Like if there's like an interrogation scene, it's okay, we're gonna shoot like this. They don't necessarily be like, we're just gonna shoot, kind of figure it out when we get there. Like I kind of have an idea, but these guys go like so in depth. Like the shots gotta look like this. We're gonna do this. This is gonna be the lighting. Some directors are more free with it, where it's like, okay, let's see what we're working with, and we kind of make it work. But these guys, I know they always storyboard. And I talked about one of the things like with Kate too, just the way he shot her. There's a lot of the times when they had like those close-ups, like we slowly saw her like descend into like her misery. And I just think the way they displayed it. You talked about the POV shots, like there's just so many shots I just really enjoyed in this movie. I talked about the drone shots, and apparently they didn't even use drones for that. They shot those from helicopters.
Oh shit.
I just assumed they were from drones. I I wouldn't really know the
A
difference, but
helicopter is just a big drone.
that's what I mean. So isn't that just more
Basically.
expensive? I don't know.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
I guess maybe you can get a little bit higher, but no, they can probably get the best drones. Like this was like
Yeah, I don't
2015.
know.
It's not like they're. I don't know, but I don't know. I wanted to give them some love just because the movie was just so visually pleasing. And I remember that's what I said. That was my first thing I noticed in the movie, and that's when I immediately ran to see who was the DOP of the movie. And I was like, okay. And then I realized that he did like Blade Runner, and he did a couple other ones. I should have wrote them all down, but he's. I thought he deserved some love. I feel like he had way more to do with the Six Man, but I
Well,
don't want to give him my.
he came off the bench. Is it because
Yeah.
we always gotta remember. I keep saying Six Man's the first man off the bench, so it's
That's
not like
true.
it's end of the roster. You know, like they still have a big imprint.
That is
Like
true.
it's a basketball reference, right? Six man's they could still get 30 minutes a game. That's a lot of impact on a game.
That is true. Yeah, because I guess if you want to do like the starting five and we do the main characters, then you put Denis in there and then you put the writer in there. I guess
Yeah.
he would end up being he wouldn't
Six
be the
men.
top five. Yeah, that is true.
I'm
That's
telling
a
you,
very
bro.
good point. That is
Don't
a
worry
very
too
good
much
point.
about the rule. They're
I know,
good,
you're
all
right.
right? Stop hating on our
You're right.
rules. Stop
You're
hating
right.
on our
I'm
awards.
trying to find to see if I can find other movies he did. Just a quick.
But no,
Yeah,
that's a
go.
good. That's a really good shout out. I'm glad you gave him some love because another shot that I had shouted out. Well, I didn't shout it out. I wrote it down.
Yeah.
Was the in when they go to Juarez for the first time and they're driving in
Yeah.
the cars. There's a shot of the camera. It's mounted to the back of one of the Mexican police trucks,
Mhm.
and then it pulls out into the street, and it's like because there's all these big speed bumps and they're bouncing and they got all the big guns.
Yeah.
And the camera's like mounted on the back of a truck, so it's a cool shot of like the truck moving through the street. I like that one as well. We talked about the shot in the desert that was super sick. All the drone shots, the night vision, like yeah, for sure. A lot of cool stuff that they did with the camera in this movie. I'm
Oh,
glad you showed him some
100%.
love.
Oh, just quickly, I'll say he did Beautiful Mind. He did what's it called? True Grit. He did Skyfall. He did Prisoners. He did obviously Sicario. He did Blade Runner, and he did 1917, which I think actually won an award for
19
best.
Yeah, because that movie is I know you're not a big war movie guy, so you haven't seen that, right?
No, I haven't seen it.
But one of the cool you got to watch it because one of the cool things about that is like the concept of the movie is that it's one continuous shot.
Oh, okay.
So like obviously it's not actually one continuous shot.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
but they shot it
kind
that
of
way.
when they like when you see the characters go from outside into like a tent or something, then like the flap of the tent covers the camera or whatever for a half a second. That's where like they would have changed the shots.
Okay, yeah,
But
no,
like
for sure.
but visually when you're watching it, it's supposed to be one full continuous shot. So there's a lot of actual long takes, but like
Yeah.
they do a bunch of cool little tricks to like make it look like one long thing. It's really cool.
Okay, no, that's cool. I definitely gotta check that out. I'll definitely
It's a good
check
movie
that
too.
out. Yeah, no, I've heard so many. I think remember
We'll
Kobe
do it for
told me
the
I gotta watch
podcast.
that. Yeah, for sure. I'll be down.
Yeah.
100% down. All right, so our next award, we got two more awards left. We got best scene. So what was your favorite scene of the movie?
Mine's the tunnel scene.
Okay,
So the lead up, we talk about how great the lead up is with the shooting, the night vision, the sound, everything's great. No music. I really like that. Yeah, they cut the music and it's just the sound of the guys like walking and then the guys dying in the tunnel and then like the lead up to it was really cool. I was on edge the whole time. And then when Alejandro gets through and then we get the big twist, like it all happens at the same time. And I as soon as like right after the scene, I'm like, I need to know where Alejandro's going. I'm locked
Yeah.
the fuck in.
No, 100%. It's it's funny when you say new music, all I think is the stupid no music, no music.
Damn, what a throwback.
So if anyone that didn't happen during the movie, that's not what he meant when he said no music. They didn't start breaking out into that, but no, that's a really good scene. Like the tunnel scene is just there's so much going on there. Like I gave some love for it from like just the visual aspect of it too. But and we talked about it in great detail, just like how much we enjoyed that, and just how much it's like that's like the spark of the twist of like okay, where are we going from here, kind of thing. And it was just funny because it leads right into my favorite scene, which is like literally right after that. It's the mission that he goes on. So like right from the tunnel scene to like now we're actually seeing and starting from like the cop and like I got sparked in where it's like and we were talking about the whole cop thing, like what if it did anything, like and if it did anything. And I remember just like when I saw the cop, I was like, oh snap! So like now we're getting like this is the payoff to it. We've been seeing this guy the whole damn movie.
Yeah.
And we talked about like this constant tension built up where it's like, okay, what's gonna happen? as he like now he's moving with this cop. And then I talked about it earlier too, how that the shock of him killing the kids and the wife, like I did not expect that. Like I didn't know where it was gonna go. Like I assumed that guy was gonna die or something, but like I was figuring that like, okay, well, he doesn't, even though that dude killed his wife and his kids, does he have it into him to kill a kid, two kids, and
He sure
a
does.
woman? Yeah, he sure does.
He
And
sure
I
does.
did not think he did. I did not think he
Yeah.
did, and that just surprised the hell out of me.
That was almost my best scene too. I was honestly between that and the tunnel. Like the ending of this movie is great. Yeah, it's a great scene. You're right. When he has the cop and he's in the car and then he's back, he pulls up to the Manuel. Like you don't know what's gonna happen.
No.
You know, he's got the gun to his head and you're just like, and it looks cool because everything's black, and then they pull up to the house and everything's lit, super clean. He enters the house a little too easy, maybe. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like it's cool that like he takes those 3 guys out, then he walks through, kills one guy in the house, and he looks pretty tough when he's doing this. And he lets the housekeeper chill,
Oh,
or
yeah.
the cook or whoever
the
that
maid,
is,
whatever
you know?
she was. Yeah,
The maid, yeah. He sees her, he's like, she's fine.
yeah.
You know, so he's not
Just let her go.
he's not a monster, I guess. But
No, for sure.
again, maybe another way they humanize him is like he didn't have to kill her, so he didn't.
Yeah, no, true.
But yeah, and then with the confrontation when he finally sits at the dinner table, and it's a great scene.
It's intense. He's just so cool, like calm and collected in the whole thing too. Where it's just like you just so calculated too. It's just everything is just like bang, like on beat. Like this isn't his first rodeo. Like there's no
Definitely not.
nerves. He's not like, man, can I do this? Like everything we see him go through is just so smooth, plan operated, and just all the way to the very end. Which is just crazy.
Yeah, good pick.
And our last award that we have is our MVP. So Scott, who was your MVP of the movie?
Mine is Denis. I gave it to
Okay.
Denis, and
Yeah.
honestly, a lot of the reasons are the same as your 6 man. Like a lot of the camera work.
Yeah.
So I gave him some of the credit for that too, because he's
Which is fine.
as a director, he'll have ideas for shots as well. So obviously, I
100%.
wasn't there. I don't know who had each idea for each shot, but anyway, he's the director, so he kind of oversees the whole thing. So I gave him a lot of credit for that. But also just the feel that he kept throughout this movie, like the mysterious, eerie feel that he was able to create throughout the movie, where we know what's going on. Like as on the second watch, I know what's going on. I know why we're going from here to there. Like I said, it's fast paced, so on the first watch it can be a little difficult, but it is all there. It's just up to you to like really listen to everything, and digest. But so we know where we're going, but at the same time, there's so much that we don't know. Like Kate, there's so much that Kate doesn't know, and we're basically stand-ins for Kate. We don't know because she doesn't know. So keeping that eerie feel throughout the movie, which in a thriller is so great. That's you want to be kept on the edge of your seat, be kept guessing. The twist at the end works really well. He moved so well from one plot point to the next, and I think he just made great choices. Like I was talking about entering the tunnel scene. There's a whole bunch of ways you could do that. And the way they did it just with night vision, and we're not seeing the kills. We just see we hear it and we see the result of the guys dying. Same with Alejandro, like at the end, like when we just get his point of view, like we were cutting back and forth between different points of the movie, but once we get there, we're only stuck with Alejandro and we're seeing his mission. And the cuts to Silvio throughout the movie to make it feel a little bit more when he dies, like all of this just adds up and makes everything better. And we talked about the tone that he likes in a lot of his movies, like a lot of his dark stuff, and he did it again here, and it's just what he does so well. But the ebbs and flows too, whereas like we before a set piece, we have all the build up, the aerial shots, the music pumping, everything. It makes it feel so big. And then we get our moment, and then a little bit of exposition, like where we can digest what happened. And then we're right up to the next one with more build up, next set piece. Like everything's moving up and down throughout the movie. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's constructed so well.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. And I guess our the 6 man is tied to your MVP, and then also my MVP is tied to your MVP in the sense of like, because I gave mine to Taylor Sheridan, who was like the writer of the movie. And because at first I was thinking like, oh, is this like based off like a book or something like that? So like I got to give him some love too, just because we talked about like how the story structure, like obviously there's the visual elements. And again, with every script, there's a script, and then things get like passed around. There's things that get changed. There's rewrites. Like we said, like some script was taken away, some dialogue was taken away from one character.
Some.
But Yeah, no, yeah, 90%. Yeah, 90%. But no, and again, this is my third time saying it now, but for whatever reason, the arc of the police officer, that part that part meant more to me this time for whatever reason. I just like I guess I was just more focused on it where I was just like, okay, again, and like as we talked about, I was kind of like, you know what, he didn't. It wasn't so much of like the actual police officer I cared about. I think it was more just so what he represented. Of
Mm-hmm,
and as we
mm-hmm.
talked through it of us saying it's like it's not necessarily we're supposed to like this specific guy, but it's just so you understand that yeah, there's people that are like, because Ted, we don't really get much of that, where it's just like, oh yeah, for F this guy, he was choking a girl. But this dude, we never see him really do anything but just be a father. And that's probably a lot of the people that are just wrapped up in the cartel stuff. It's just like, yeah, he happened to be a police officer, but there's probably people that have work other jobs and they have no choice and they have to do this. Begrudge. It's like, it's not like he looks excited to do these things. You don't see him like happy about going to do these things. He's just doing it. He has a wife and a kid. And I don't know. I think that story arc being in there is just different than some other movies where you just have cops and all these other side characters of people just dying with not much of them really meaning much. There's
Mm-hmm.
some meaningless deaths in here. Like I mean, they're mostly just like goons and bodyguards and stuff like that, or just like drug guys where it's just like, well, we don't really need to know their whole backstory. But it's
Yeah.
nice to have at least one of them in there where it's like, okay, like not all these guys are messed up. Because we even talked about it like during the border scene where it's just like, why do these guys do that so recklessly that when they're gonna die? It's just, well, if we got to peel back, we probably see that they're probably just like those other guys too. They make sure
Yeah.
they have face tattoos, all that stuff, but maybe back home they just have a wife and a kid, and maybe they didn't want to get into this, but they had to. So
Yeah. No,
that
that's a really good point. And one like last thing I would add is that like the very, very end of the movie, where we see his son,
mhm,
like he's playing soccer, and then they hear gunshots and then they kind of all look away and then basically just get right back to the game.
yeah,
And I think it's a that final like nail in the coffin for the message that you're right. What this cop represents is that yeah, these guys are all victims. Yeah, they're working for the cartel, but at the end of the day, they're victims of the cartel of
yeah,
the drug trafficking system, the whole situation. And I think that's another way that to show that like yeah, they killed this head honcho, but there's still all the guns are still going off. These guys are in the middle of a soccer game. There's guns going off. The kid's dad just died, and it's just a normal thing. Like there's guns going off all the time. They're just showing like how many victims, how many people are affected by illegal drug trafficking and the
yeah,
cartel, right? So it's I don't know if that's meant to be like a theme of the movie or a message of the movie is just like that like obviously drug trafficking is bad. So
yeah,
you know, I think that's obviously a message per se, but like
yeah,
to really drive it home to say like look, there's a lot of victims, not just American victims too, you know, and you think about that for like American movies, a lot of time they just it's all about the US and like
yeah.
and what goes on this side, but to show that on the Mexican side there's a lot of victims and a lot of people that get affected by this is a good little addition to the movie, I think.
Yeah, and I just like that little addition of that. It just really stuck with me. And then even just we were making jokes about the branding of the silicone wristband and stuff like that. But it's just a nice little thing. Like if you're paying attention, then you realize because like if you're not paying attention close to the movie, you're kind of like watching it. Maybe you're watching on your phone. You may not realize those little things of like when he's holding the wristband, when they're putting the money together. So when he throws the wristband on the table, and um and she like starts freaking out, you might be like, wait, what? Why is she snapping? Or what's wrong with this dude? I mean, I
Hmm.
don't think you should. I don't think anyone should be watching a movie like that where you're not paying attention. You're on your phone and stuff like that. But it's like it's a little slight thing that maybe they could have only actually put in there twice, just so it was or once, sorry, just so then if you were really paying attention, you said a little tiny detail. But I like those little detail things where it's like, oh snap, that's the same band from before.
Yeah. Yeah. Good good picks.
And
Good
also
picks.
the last note I want to say is that it's I didn't realize it until well because I mean when I first watched this movie it wasn't out, it didn't happen yet, but Taylor Sheridan, he's the dude that wrote like Yellowstone and then like all those spin-off shows.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of funny that he had that little cowboy bar in there because this nigga's whole
yeah.
life is cowboys now.
True. And he's on a ridiculous run. He's making a bunch of shows and he's like I think he's directing them all too. Like he's going
He's
insane right now.
insane. He's insane. And they did another one just came out. It's called like Landman or something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's like it's the number one watched TV show in North America right now. It's over Squid Games.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of big Yellowstone, which is massive. He's got
there's like 1887. Like
is it the Lioness? The Lioness, I think.
Yeah,
is
I think he wrote that one too. And
Zoe
the Tulsa King too.
Yeah, with Stallone.
Writing everything, man.
Yeah, this guy's going insane.
He's on a generational run right now.
Yeah, too bad it's all in TV though.
Yeah, I know, right?
We need more movies, bro.
Maybe you get more money this way. I don't know. You could stretch it out. Like, I don't know. Paramount's throwing money.
And we were saying that this would make a good miniseries.
Yeah, that's why he probably thought about it too. He's probably like, man, I could have made this to a TV. Like, got all these ideas. I'm like, this works way better as a TV show. He probably did this movie and was like, I could have done more with this. I could have done more with this.
It's a good point. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that is what happened. Shoot.
But you have anything? You have anything else?
I'm good.
Before we wrap up? No, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you then, everybody, for listening. We really appreciate it. Be sure to follow us wherever you're listening to this. We'd really appreciate it. Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. If you're listening to this anywhere other than that, that means you're pirating it. And I'm not mad about that because I pirate stuff all the time. But I'm more mad about that, like, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube are free. So there'd be literally no reason to do that. And I know no one's doing that anyway. I'm just talking shit. But, but yeah, give us a follow or subscribe wherever you're there if you enjoyed the episode. Also, leave us a 5-star review if you enjoyed the episode. We really appreciate it. It helps us grow. If you leave a written review, we'll read it out on the podcast. Check us out on social medias. We're on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Film Room Pod. We will see you next week for another banger, and I'll send it to Dion to close it out.
And I don't know if TikTok is even around anymore.
Oh, true.
I think it might have today, at least for Americans. Like, if you're Canadian, I guess you can still see us. I don't know what's going on. But it's still there for us. But anyway,
yeah, I was gonna say,
as he checks it, I'm gonna end tag it by saying, if you listen to this podcast and you can't take a joke, you will not survive here. You're not a wolf. And this is the land of wolves now. Peace out.
Peace out.